And this.
Oh, boy, what a move by Embiid.
You think of us. We are sports. 97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City, a town square media station. This is the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. Now, live inside the Matt Black Kia Studios, here's Mike Gill.
Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on a hump day Wednesday here on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. 4 hours coming up. We got a lot to get to in the next 4 hours. And considering the Phillies are losing right now 5-0 in the bottom of the third, I'm here to keep you guys entertained for the next 4 hours. Talking about something that is not the Phillies losing potentially again. We will talk some about baseball a little bit later in the show. Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City still to come in about 40 minutes from now. We will be joined by DraftKings MLB analyst Steve Buchanan at the top of the next hour. We'll get into the NBA with Keith Smith, Spot Track NBA insider. The Celtics won last night. We're going to get into a little bit of the significance of that win. Plus the latest on Eagles Football at 4 with Jeff Mosher, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. And if you are a frequent listener to Game Night, it is a Weinberg Wednesday. Dave Weinberg will join me coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. And as always, you can join the conversation. 609-403-0973. That's the text word. You also can DM the show. That's the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank. Yeah, by the way, shout out to the guy who texted even before the show got started. It said the Phillies are so tough to watch. I switched over to you guys. Well, welcome aboard to the show. Hope you're having a better day than the Phillies are. Like I said, they're losing 5-0. I'll keep you updated on the game as it progresses for the better or the worse. But I want to start with this. I've been on Game Night talking about my big takeaways from these NBA playoff games and what it means for the 76ers. And last night was another example of why the Boston Celtics are a Jekyll and Hyde team. And why you, if you're a Sixers fan, need to hope this organization does the right thing this offseason. Here's what I mean by that. You got the Celtics last night, and I'm sitting there watching them, and the Miami Heat had this strong lead at halftime. And I'm thinking, the Miami Heat are going to run away with this game in half. There's no way they're coming back. And then Boston starts hitting those threes. The Celtics now, by the regular season and postseason, they are 37-2 when they shoot 40% or better from three. They are 29-31 when they shoot under 40% from three. They are the literal statistical embodiment of make or miss, win or lose. And it's a great example of why, if you are a Sixers fan, should take some positive in the fact that the Eastern Conference is not a foregone conclusion that any particular team is the dominant force. Look, Milwaukee still hasn't found their head coach. They're going through a very long process like the Sixers are. And even though they may arguably have not the best, one of the best players in the NBA today in Giannis, you saw how ill-equipped the rest of that team was to handle when Giannis went down with injury. The Miami Heat lost two of their players in that series, that first round series, and Milwaukee still couldn't beat them because between Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat style of grinding you into oblivion took a toll on the Bucks, just like it took a toll on the Knicks. And it's what put them up 3-0 in this series. You can't tell me Boston is a favorite ever again unless they reshuffle this roster or they change the head coach or something, because it's blatantly obvious that this team, their success and failure has nothing to do with their head coach. It has everything to do with them. These players literally change their mind from quarter to quarter if they feel like showing up. Frankly, it's kind of pathetic. We were told for years, I had to hear Sixer fans bemoan for years about how Boston's a better run organization. They constantly get these better players. They have real veteran leadership. And yet I'm seeing a Boston team for 3 rounds now that picks and chooses when they feel like playing basketball. There's no leadership with the Celtics. It's just, hey, we made shots or didn't make shots. Whoop-de-doo. So the 2 top teams record-wise in the Eastern Conference have an incredible amount of flaws. And the Miami Heat, who knows what they're actually going to be able to do. Because, frankly, they have a lot of salary cap problems after this season. Now, I was listening to Bobby Marks talk about this on the Low Post podcast about how Miami, they have to maximize their success this year because there's no guarantee beyond this year in terms of their salary cap. So we all have applauded and lauded Jimmy Butler and how well he has played, and he has played into a new tier. But he has 2 more years on his contract, and one of them is a player option. So in theory, he could bail on Miami after next season. And when you look at the Miami Heat overall, their cap situation is, well, how about we call it complicated? Because with guys like Kyle Lowry on the books, it's not going to make it easy for them to make moves. And for those who don't know, Kyle Lowry's deal, even though it's up after next season, the cap hit next season is almost $30 million. As I was talking with Brian Toporek, who writes for Forbes Sports and Liberty Ballers yesterday, he was explaining that, for NBA teams, this situation with the dual tiers, what they're calling aprons, for teams in their salary cap situations, it's putting teams in a tough predicament to make really tough decisions. It's going to be very hard to build any super team ever again under this new agreement. So if you're the Miami Heat, if you don't get it done this year and you don't beat Boston and finish out this series, if we're being frank, there kind of is no tomorrow. So there's no guarantee Miami is going to be this good next year. And looking around the rest of the East, the Nets are a nice team. Not a great team. Unless they make some unforeseen additions this offseason. The Bulls, their roster is a mess because that whole team was built around an idea, and that idea never came to fruition. You got to wonder how long they'll stick with their head coach, Billy Donovan, in the future. The Cavs feel like they're a year away from being a year away, especially with the way they look against the Knicks. Oh, and by the way, the Knicks, unless the Knicks are adding somebody this offseason that we don't foresee, the Sixers are already better than the Knicks right now. So if you're doing a measurement of the Eastern Conference, what you're seeing is that the 76ers are not in a negative position success-wise. You look around the Eastern Conference, you realize that you have an opportunity next year. And as I'm watching Joe Mazzulla basically inhabit the sidelines instead of control his team and be a leader, as I'm watching the Miami Heat not make shots and basically just wilt at the end of that game last night, as I'm watching all the people who are talking about who's going to be a head coach where, it gets me back to this question. Who should be the Sixers head coach and why? I'm not saying the head coach is the end all be all for a team's success, okay? But he has a significant impact because if you see the way Spoelstra coaches, you know that he has a major impact on their success. And when the report came out today that Nick Nurse is one of the finalists for the Phoenix head coaching job after he was already reported to be a finalist for the Milwaukee head coaching job, and that was after Nurse had interviewed for the Sixers for their job, I started to wonder, what are the Sixers' plans? Seriously, what's the Sixers' game plan here? Because I'll tell you what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that for a team that is going through a very methodical process in terms of a head coaching search, there's a part of me that wonders, do you end up missing the boat by taking so long? So I ask you guys, how do you feel about Nick Nurse right now, knowing that he is a finalist for 2 head coach openings, and you still have more people to interview? Because I'm not saying Nick Nurse solves the problem, but what I am saying is the Sixers are not in a position to mess this up. You got a window with Embiid, and you got to put the right talent around him, and you got to make sure that he is in a position to get out of the second round. You look at a guy like Nikola Jokic. When he didn't have Jamal Murray and Aaron Gordon out there, he never got to the NBA Finals. Jamal Murray is like, it's almost like he was made in a lab for Nikola Jokic. You watch the way those two play in Denver, and they look like they were made to play together. They look like this perfect tandem. It's like, when you beeb, it's amazing. It's amazing watching how those guys play together. And then look at a guy like Embiid, and you know what I saw this last postseason? James Harden pounding the basketball into the ground. Dribble, 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 dribble. It's like that. If you guys ever see that State Farm commercial with Boban Marjanovic, where all he says is the whole time for his play-by-play, he says he bounced the ball, he bounced it again, he bounced the ball, he bounced it again. That's what I watch when I see Harden. The Sixers won 3 games against the Celtics, and James Harden exploded offensively in 2 of them, played efficiently in a third, and the rest of this series played, frankly, like trash, especially in the last 2 games. So if you're going to, for whatever reason, bring Harden back, which I am vehemently against, Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash on a hump day Wednesday here on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. If you, for whatever reason, are bringing James Harden back, you better make sure that the head coach of this team is not a Joe Mazzulla type. Because you know who Joe Mazzulla is? Joe Mazzulla is the substitute teacher who suddenly became the full-time teacher of a class, and nobody respects him. You cannot tell me watching any of these games that Mazzulla is having a major impact on this team. Spoelstra, huge impact on his team. Because the other thing I saw when the Sixers season ended, Doc Rivers is screaming and trying to pump his guys up, and it's in one ear, out the other. And for those of you Cobra Kai fans know, Terry Silver had the line in season 4 when he said there's a difference between hearing and listening. The Sixers players were hearing Doc Rivers, like the Celtics players are hearing Joe Mazzulla, but they're not listening. And the reason why the Celtics are in the conference finals and the Sixers are not is because the guy that you brought in when you got rid of Ben Simmons pounded the ball into the hardwood and didn't run an offense. It was Harden time. And Harden time was great in Houston when he had the roster built around him, customized for him, cultivated for him when he was in his prime, but he is no longer in his prime. And Harden was not listening to people. And when I look at this coaching list, I have two separate concerns. One, if you bring back Harden, who's going to deal with that guy? And on the flip side, if you don't bring back Harden, who are you replacing him with, and how is that going to work? So I will put the poll question up at 973 ESPN on Twitter and ask you guys this question. How do you feel about Nick Nurse? He is now a finalist for the Bucks and Suns job. What should the Sixers do? And you can also chime in at 609-403-0973. That's the text board. Of course, don't forget you can DM the show through the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. Before I get to you guys' text, just one more point on the Sixers and the NBA playoffs. The other thing I'm watching last night is, I think this is the part of the conversation that kind of messes with me more than anything else. You know, I was talking with Rob Motti on Monday's game night, and we were talking about how the Miami Heat are in the conference finals. They're on the verge going to the NBA finals. The Florida Panthers, they're on the verge going to the Stanley Cup finals. The Tampa Bay Bucks won a Super Bowl just a couple of years ago. And Rob was saying that Florida sports fans love their teams, but they're not this diehard day-to-day live or die with your team like a city like Philadelphia is. And I just got to think, if you are the Sixers ownership, somebody in that building has to either verbalize to you or you have to verbalize to Maury and Brand and the whole brain trust up there. You have to verbalize that you can't run it back with this team as is and expect the fans to just show up. Philadelphia sports fans don't like having their intelligence insulted. That's why so many people stopped going to Flyers games in the last couple of years, because so many Flyers fans said, "You're not giving me a winning team. It doesn't even look like you're trying sometimes, and you wave the white flag when you had the opportunity to get the best free agent for this Flyers team in many years." I mean, Johnny Gaudreau to the Flyers would have been similar to Bryce Harper coming to the Phillies. Or, you know, when T.O. came to the Eagles, like he would have been that tier of impact, not just in terms of on the ice, not just in terms of his play and his impact on the team, but his impact on the fans. You know, when the Phillies signed Bryce Harper, that was a clear signal to Philly fans that this organization was turning a corner. Just like over a decade plus ago when they brought in Jim Thome and they opened the new ballpark, it was a clear sign to the fans that they were serious about changing the direction of this franchise. And what did Flyer fans do? They stopped going because the organization insulted their intelligence. You know why Sixer fans weren't going to games over a decade ago? Because a team with Evan Turner, Andre Iguodala, everyone knew they weren't winning anything. So the fans said, "Don't insult me. I'm not spending these exorbitant prices on this." And you saw what's going with the Phillies. You know, the Phillies had the largest turnaround in attendance from last year to this year in all of baseball. The Forbes Sports Report said that baseball attendance is up across the board. Let me pull it up real quick. But that the Phillies had the highest, largest turnaround in attendance of any team in baseball. So you know what that says to me? If you have almost a 10,000 plus flip in attendance average from last year to this year at this time, and if you are a team that, while all of baseball is up about 5% in attendance, the Phillies are up way more than that. The fans are telling you, hey, if you give us a good team, if you go out there and compete, we'll show up at the ballpark. We'll support you. And I'm looking at the Sixers and I'm saying, is this fan base going to support this team if you insult their intelligence and just run it back for one more year? Because I don't know if they're going to do it. I really don't. Text board is open, 609-403-0973. You also can DM the show through the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Again, the poll question is right now, and we already got a cluster of votes coming in at 973 ESPN. How do you feel the Sixers head coaching situation? Nick Nurse is now a finalist for 2 different jobs. What should the Sixers do? Well, the second leading vote right now on the poll is forget about him. Who should the Sixers head coach be? Like, I want to know from you guys. You guys tell me who should be the Sixers head coach. Because here's the deal. Before Mike Gill left this week, he handed me some extra tickets to give away. So we got tickets to give away today, tomorrow, and Friday. If you didn't get a chance to win the Shane Gillis tickets last Happy Hour Friday with Mike Gill, well, we gave away a pair of tickets last Friday. Mike Gill turned to me before he left and said, Josh, guess what? We got more tickets for Shane Gillis at Ocean Casino Resort. So if you want to go see the comedian Shane Gillis at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City, I got tickets today, tomorrow, and Friday. So here's what you got to do today. If you want to win tickets, a pair of tickets to go see him, text in to the show at 609-403-0973 and tell me, who do you want for the Sixers head coach? Because the candidates are all, the names are out there. The Sixers are interviewed already. Nick Nurse and Frank Vogel. Sam Cassell is under consideration. So is Mike D'Antoni. Monty Williams, Mike Budenholzer. They're all on the list. Who do you want and why? And we'll pick out a winner before the evening is over to go see Shane Gillis at Ocean Casino Resort. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on a Wednesday afternoon on 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle.
Sports is what we do.
0-2 on the way. Swinging a high fly. This is blasted out to deep right center field. Forget about it. Solo shot from Harper.
This is why we're number one for sports in South Jersey. 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Time to tee it up at the 40th Annual Ranch Hope Wranglers Golf Tournament, Friday, June 2nd at Centerton Golf Club, presented by Woodruff Energy. Proceeds will benefit Ranch Hope's youth activities. Ranch Hope is entering its 59th year serving the youth and families of New Jersey. Their tournament is made possible by Comtech Systems, PSEG Nuclear, Mannington Flooring, Atlantic City Electric, First National Bank of Elmer, SJ Water Conditioning, Heritage Dairy Stores, RCL Solar, Foster Carney Foundation, and Pennsville Bank. Let's tee it up for Ranch Hope. Sponsor and player registrations at ranchhope.org.
With summer savings at the Home Depot, we have laundry appliances that just fit. Fit your space, fit your needs, and fit your budget. Like a new LG laundry set with 6-motion technology, using different wash motions to get clothes cleaner. And sensor dry to automatically adjust drying time, all making laundry quicker, cleaner, and easier on your clothes. Save up to 30% on select appliances, plus up to $100 off select laundry sets at the Home Depot. Pricing valid May 18th through June 7th, 2023. U.S. only. See store or online for details.
0 down, 0% financing, and $7,000 off MSRP on every clearly marked Matt Blatt Nissan in stock.
Oh yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
Stuck in a loan or lease? AJ the Trade Man can get you released, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth, with 0 down and 0% financing on every Nissan Rogue for 36 months, even 0% for 60 months, plus $7,000 off MSRP on every Nissan Titan in stock. And don't forget, AJ the Trade Man will get you more for your trade, so you can drive a brand new Nissan. And of course, the Matt Blatt Nissan Peace of Mind 4-day love it or leave it return policy, only at MattBlattNissan.com. On approved Tier 1 credit through NEMAC. Negative equity will be refinanced into new vehicle plus tax tag and $589 doc fee. Offers can't be combined. Call 877-289-6670 or go to MattBlattNissan.com for complete details. Offer ends 6/3/2023. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
Finding great people to hire can be like trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Their powerful matching technology delivers so many qualified candidates. It's like finding a needle in a needle stack. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. For less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Progressive presents 10 things on a contractor's to-do list that are harder than getting a commercial auto insurance quote. Bidding a new client, giving an accurate estimate, finding affordable materials, getting a client to pay you for work you already did, getting a client to pay you, period, securing permits and workers and tools, getting those workers and tools to work together, and finding the perfect pair of overalls. Pockets, baby. But the easiest thing on a small business owner's to-do list? Seeing if you can save on commercial auto insurance. Get a quote in as little as 6 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Coverage subject to policy terms and conditions.
East Coast Roofing and Siding, protecting what you love and own. East Coast Roofing and Siding, trust us with your family and home.
Hi, I'm Larry Steitler.
And this is Jeff with East Coast Roofing, Siding, and Windows, New Jersey's most trusted home remodeling contractor for well over 40 years. Everybody knows that when you hire East Coast for your roofing, siding, window, or door project, you get the best installation with the best lifetime warranties. But now for a limited time, when you hire East Coast, we are offering 12 months of no payments and no interest. Instant rebate. All of this at last year's pricing. There's never been a better time to protect your family and home, so give us a call at 609-625-1900 or visit us at eastcoastroofing.com today to schedule your free consultation.
If you'll call,
we'll show up. East Coast Roofing and Siding, trust us with your family and home.
Next up, Straight Talk from Doug. Ever notice that saying no offense is offensive? Like, no offense, but you're overpaying for your wireless. See? Offensive.
That's the Straight Talk talking. Get unlimited plans as low as $35 a month from Straight Talk on America's most reliable 5G network. Available at Walmart and Walmart.com. On the $35 plan, first 10 gigabytes data at high speed, then 2G speeds. Refer to the latest terms at straighttalk.com. Based on most first-place ranking root metrics, second half 2022 assessments of 125 metros. Experiences vary, not an endorsement.
Turn your home into restricted airspace. Tell incoming flights you want them diverted. The new Raid Essentials Light Trap plugs into the wall and uses light to attract, then trap flying insects like fruit flies and mosquitoes. Its 24/7 continuous attraction provides insecticide-free protection that's people and pet friendly. Consider air service interrupted. New Raid Essentials Light Trap. Insecticide-free protection.
Hey, it's Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow, and all summer long, I'll be taking you on a tour of exciting destinations across the Great Garden State, sponsored by the New Jersey Division of Travel and Tourism. Every corner of New Jersey has amazing day trips and staycations for the entire family. From the cities to the shore, mountains to museums, theme parks, ballparks, and amazing downtowns, each week I'll travel to a New Jersey hotspot and talk about the best places to play, eat, shop, and explore. Find your perfect New Jersey getaway with ideas and a free travel guide at visitnj.org.
Now, back to the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash. Hump Day Wednesday, 97.3 ESPN. I'll just get messages in just a moment. Don't forget, if you text in and join the conversation. You have a chance to win tickets to go see the comedian Shane Gillis at Ocean Casino Resort Atlantic City. Yeah, before Mike Gill stepped out of the studio for a couple of days. Hey, Josh, we got a couple extra tickets. Shane Gillis, Atlantic City. Gave away one pair last Friday. Well, next in 629-403-0973. Your thoughts? Who's the Sixers' next head coach? Over on our Twitter poll at 973ESPN. The options right now are the tie, actually. 40% and 40% both say either hire Nick Nurse as soon as possible or interview all the candidates. Add down to 20% so you forget about him. We'll give you an update on that poll. The reason why we're asking that question is because Woj reported this morning that Nick Nurse is a finalist for the Phoenix head coaching job. Just after the day before, reports were that Nurse was a finalist for the Milwaukee job. And as Jake Fisher over at Yahoo Sports has reported, the Bucks look like they want to be the first team to hire a head coach. They are in hot pursuit because their general manager wants to start rebuilding this operation around Giannis. And so, again, as those who don't know, for the Bucks job, the finalists are their assistant from last year, Charles Lee, Nick Nurse, as well as former Toronto assistant Adrian Griffin and Warriors assistant Kenny Atkins. So, if Milwaukee is trying to run to the podium and get the pick in their pocket, we got a lot of names. A lot of names out there who they're supposed to interview. And as of right now, we only know they have interviewed at least 2 of those 6 names already. That being Frank Vogel and Nick Nurse. Again, poll question at 973-ESPN on Twitter, or you can text in at 609-403-0973. We opened the show talking about the Celtics and the Heat. Anonymous chimes in and says, Josh, if there was ever a team to come back from a 3-0 deficit, it would be the Celtics team. They are Jekyll and Hyde, but they also play their best when their back is against the wall. This Celtics group came back in multiple series. They were down. The Heat are really not that good this year. The Celtics aren't that bad. That's from Anonymous. 2 things, Anonymous. One, saying that the Heat are not that good and the Celtics are not that bad is completely overlooking the fact that the Heat were up 3-0 in this series before last night. Yes, there is a gap in talent between the Heat and the Celtics, but judging a team on paper is, frankly, one of the biggest mistakes all of us sports fans make. So many of us go into our predictions and our prognostications and our picks and all these, and we're judging on the stats and the players and the rosters and all these different things. But yeah, we forget the one reason why the Heat are here right now. They play like a team. They play like a cohesive unit. They don't play like individuals. And frankly, if Gabe Vincent doesn't have that crazy ankle twist where his ankle almost snapped in half on the sideline when the way it bent was creepy to watch if you see the replay, who knows how that Heat game ends? Because you could tell the Celtics started attacking him when he was on defense because they knew he didn't have the burst off that foot. The Miami Heat play like a unit, like a team. The Celtics more often than not play like individuals looking for their shot. So being Jekyll and Hyde is a reason why you're not good. To me, it's the ultimate reason why you're not good. Winning in sports typically comes down to consistency and talent and execution. The Celtics, I told you guys earlier, 37-2 when they hit over 40% of their threes. It's a crazy number. It's a literal example that this team makes shots, they can win games. They don't make shots, they're losing. So I think this attitude, the Celtics are just not as bad as I'm drawing it out to be. I think it's a miscalculation by you, Mr. Anonymous. Rich in Atlantic City says, I really don't want Harden back either, especially on a 4-year, $200 million deal. But on the other hand, what are the other options? Well, the other options are this, Rich, and I appreciate you chiming me in, putting your name on it, Rich in Atlantic City. Good job by you. Look, I think that it comes down to two things for the Sixers. One, do we believe Daryl Morey is as creative as we think he is? Because we can talk about guys, for example, Dame Lillard, Kyrie Irving, and others. But at the end of the day, how many people saw Daryl Morey unloading Al Horford's contract, getting Seth Curry for Josh Richardson? How many people saw them unloading Ben Simmons at probably his worst value and getting James Harden? So to me, I look at and I say, the option is Morey. Morey, if you go listen to his press conference again, he believes there are options. He believes they have assets. And, I know that we who watch the Sixers every game look at Tobias Harris and say, what kind of value does that guy have? But he has value because he's in the following year of his contract. Someone's going to want to take on that contract. And whether it's trading him to get a guy like Pascal Siakam or trading him as part of a larger deal to get somebody else, we've heard Zach LaVine's name rumored for what feels like 4 years now, potentially being traded. Who knows exactly what Utah is doing? I mean, Utah took on the Westbrook contract in a salary dump deal. Does Oklahoma City look to trade some of their draft picks and maybe absorb some contracts? So those are options. Those are legitimate options. I don't know if there is a specific person to replace Harden, but I think that there are people out there, whether it is a Lillard or an Irving or a Siakam or somebody else you could acquire. I feel like, by the time we get in the next year, Daryl Morey will have made a move or two. Just don't know what those moves are as of right now. Let's get one more message in before we hit the break. Tom from the Villas chimes in and says, I honestly don't know who I want to be the coach for the Sixers. No matter who it is, the front office will mess this up. They can't surround Embiid with decent supporting cast. They can't get consistent skilled players, and they can't put a good bench together. It's been a revolving door of players ever since the process started. You can't have a consistent team that way. It's from Tom in the Villas. Tom, the part about the consistent team, the revolving door, I think is the biggest thing of what you just said there, because this team has had so many guys playing with Embiid, the revolving door of this roster. It's a huge part of why they've had troubles having success, because they never have long-term chemistry. And as soon as they got some multiple years with a group of guys, Saric and Covington and Embiid, they traded those guys for Jimmy Butler. And you could argue that if Butler came back the next year and you would have ran it back with that team of Embiid and Harris and Butler and Redick, you could argue they might have been better the next year. And at the time, there were a lot of speculation that the Spurs wanted Ben Simmons. Why didn't you give him Ben Simmons? Could have gotten rid of Ben Simmons, trade him at his highest value, soaked the Spurs for everything they got, and you could have made another playoff run. But instead, here we are. Mike McGarry for the Press of Atlantic City will join us next in his usual Wednesday spot here. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
You haven't downloaded the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app? Well, go get it now to follow all the Philly sports teams at 97.3ESPN.com. Powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
With GMF financing, qualified buyers excludes Corvette.
At Bennett Chevrolet, we're selling new Chevys at real GM supplier employee prices and not 1 cent more. And you keep all the rebates. Not some. I said you keep all the rebates. Up to $8,000 right now during our Memorial Day super sale. Some dealers think they can imitate Bennett by giving you a discount, but they keep part or all the rebates. Bennett Chevy gives you both the real deal GM supplier employee price plus all the rebates. Up to $8,000 during our Memorial Day super sale. And there's available 1.9% financing. Looking for used? Bennett will pay you a minimum $10,000 for any clunker, junker, or whatever you can drag to our lot towards any pre-owned in stock. That's at least $10,000. We pay a lot more for good trades. And unlike other dealers, our sales team is non-commissioned. They're paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. You've got to come experience the difference. Find new roads at Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
The Dell Technologies summer sale event is on with limited quantity deals on top tech. Save on select PCs powered by the latest Intel Core processors like Thin and Light XPS 13 laptops, Inspiron laptops, and 2-in-1s. Plus, get savings on select accessories, free shipping, and monthly payment options with Dell Preferred Account. It's the perfect season to power your passions during Dell's summer sale event. Save today by calling 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL. Offered to U.S. residents by WebBank, who determines qualifications for and terms of credit.
Maytag month has got it going on. It's all you want with the savings all month long. Baby, can't you see? Maytag month is all you need. You know you can't go wrong when Maytag month is going on.
Upgrade to the performance you need on all Maytag major appliances during May is Maytag month, happening all month long.
Maytag month is going on.
Hi, we're Comparion Insurance Agency. Right now you're thinking, Comparion, never heard of them. We know. We also know that you have no idea that Comparion Insurance agents are local and provide expert advice. So to help it stick, we're going to say local agent 4 times in the next 15 seconds. Ready? Go. Our local agents know you and your community. Our local agents offer insurance from top carriers. Our local agents have minty fresh breath.
Find us at ComparionInsurance.com. Comparion Insurance Agency. Local agents. Expert advice.
And there's number 4.
Texting enrolls you in recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Leaving for the gym so early?
I'm ready to go.
Since you started taking Nugenix Total T, you've been acting like when we met in our 20s.
I feel like myself again. Lower testosterone after turning 40 slowed me down. Nugenix Total T has been a game changer for me.
What is it about Nugenix Total T that's different?
Well, it's a patented key ingredient called testofen. It boosts free and total testosterone to help you get back the drive and energy from your youth. It's backed by 5 clinical studies.
I've seen the huge difference it's made for you in the gym, at work, and in the bedroom.
I'm so glad I sent them a text for my complimentary bottle. Text ROCK to 321321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. Nugenix is the #1 selling testosterone boosting brand at GNC and Walmart. Do it now and we'll also send you a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, our newest, most powerful fat burner ever. Absolutely free. Text ROCK to 321321. That's ROCK to 321321.
What dealer has new Kias under $25,000 and only 2.9% financing?
Who is Matt Blatt Kia?
What dealer will pay off your trade, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth?
Who is Matt Blatt Kia?
Correct. Have a job clearing $350 per week? Matt Blatt Kia in Egg Harbor Township or Toms River wants to approve you. New 2023 Kia. Owner trades, many with remaining factory warranty, and they must go to make room for new Kias arriving daily. Just because you don't see your new Kia on the lot doesn't mean you can't be driving it home tomorrow with our exclusive 4-day love it or leave it return policy.
It's gotta be a Matt Blatt Kia.
With approved credit, 8 per thousand finance. Go to mattblattkia.com for complete details or 888-505-6670. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer, except for licensing, registration, and taxes. Expires 5/31/23. Matt Blatt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, and now on Route 37 in Toms River.
Now, back to more Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's sports leader.
Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill, and I'm thoroughly entertained by some of the answers over messaging. And again, don't forget, you join the conversation, tell me who you are. Leave your name. You have a chance to win tickets to go see comedian Shane Gillis at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. Who should the Sixers' next head coach be? You also can vote in the poll at 973 ESPN on Twitter. Joining us right now, Mike McGarry for the Press of Atlantic City joins the show every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, as he is also looking for a healthy distraction from the Phillies, who are still losing 5-0 in the top of the sixth inning. Mike, how you doing aside from the Phillies losing today?
I'm doing better than the Phillies, Josh. How are you today?
I'm doing good. So let me start with this, Mike, because the news came out this morning that Nick Nurse is now a finalist also for the Phoenix job. So he's a finalist for the Bucks and Suns jobs. He interviewed the Sixers on Monday. So how do you feel right now about Nick Nurse and his candidacy for the Sixers? Like, is it one of the things where you say, you know what, finish your process, don't worry about him? What are you thinking about Nick Nurse as a Sixers head coach candidate?
Well, I'm not certainly rushing through anything just to hire Nick Nurse. I'm a little bewildered by the fascination with Nick Nurse. I know he had a winning record and did a nice job in Toronto, but the one title they won, he had Kawhi Leonard, and they beat a Golden State Warrior team without Durant, without Klay Thompson, a team that had been ravaged by injuries. So I don't know why all of a sudden Nick Nurse is the number one guy out there. I would be comfortable with anybody on the list that we've seen floated and, so far of guys in contention for that Sixers job.
Would you even be comfortable with Mike D'Antoni?
Yeah, at this point, again, I come back to the thing, Josh. I think it's more of a roster issue. I'm more interested in what moves they make in the offseason. I'm on record as saying they need a third star. They should bring back Harden, much to much of the fan base's chagrin, but bring back Harden, bring back Embiid, get a third star in here, even if that means trading Maxey as part of a deal, get a third star in here and go forward like that. So I'm not really wrapped up in who the coach is going to be, only because I don't think the coach is going to make that big a difference. To me, this is a roster issue, not a coaching issue.
So if it's a roster issue, then is Harden really the guy to bring back? Because a lot of people, they don't want him back, Mike. You see the fans on social media. You hear out and about. People look at Harden and they say he's the reason why you lost 2 of the games in that Celtics series.
He's the reason why you won 2 of the games in the Celtics series also. He led the league in assists this year. I'll be the first one to say that his track record in game 6, 7 deciding games of playoff series is abysmal. But where do people think this team is going without James Harden? And you are going to and I hate to talk about players like this or refer to them like this, but he is an asset, and you are going to let that asset walk away for nothing? I mean, what about all you traded to get him? I mean, it just makes no sense to let him walk away for nothing from a business standpoint. And I think if they let him walk away, they're taking a big step backwards next year. And, this is not the time to be taking a big step backwards when you've got a 30-year-old Joel Embiid. So, I think they have no choice but to bring him back.
I want to present to you my conspiracy theory, and you can tell me I'm crazy or not, Mike. But I think that the reason why we're standing here right now with this Harden stuff and all these rumors about him going to Houston is because I think him and Morey have a handshake agreement, and that's why he had a player option. That Morey said, look, give me 1 year. If you're not happy with what we're doing here, I'll let you go. And I wouldn't be surprised if they have some sort of agreement to do a sign and trade so Harden can get the maximum number of dollars so he can go wherever he wants. What do you think?
Well, that would be malpractice on Morey's part. And my answer to that would be, what is Houston's motivation to do a sign and trade when they just have the cap room to flat out sign James Harden anyway? So why would they give up, especially if Harden wants to go there, why would they give up assets or players to get Harden to go there when they can just use the cap room? So I think that would be business malpractice on Morey's part, and also malpractice from the point of that Morey was only giving this like a 1 year experiment to sort of to see if it worked or not. I think you have to get more out of that James Harden situation than that.
What do you think about how they can change this roster? Like, do you have any ideas that you personally like or anything that's on the top of your mind that you look at and say, hey, this makes sense to me?
I think they got to go get a third star, a guy who can create offense in the fourth quarter of a playoff game. And then they have to convince Embiid to become, more of a defensive player and a rebounder in the last 5 minutes of Game 6 or Game 7. It looks like they won't have to convince James Harden of anything in Game 6 or 7 because he couldn't wait to pass the ball to DeAndre Melton or PJ Tucker in Game 6 and 7. So you just need to find somebody for him to pass the ball who's better than that. So to me, I go out and get a Dame Lillard, a Zach LaVine, a Bradley Beal. I am looking for that third star, and the two greatest assets I have on the roster right now are Tobias Harris's expiring contract and Tyrese Maxey, and I am comfortable with combining those two and whatever else you have to do to get a third star in here.
So wait, so you're not willing to be patient with Maxey. You're willing to move on from him.
Look, I like Tyrese Maxey. I think the Philadelphia sporting public overrates just how good Tyrese Maxey is. I mean, I think he's a good player, but he hasn't gotten you over the hump yet. He's been in the league 3 years. I think you need a star player. I don't think Maxey's at it. And so you have to give up something to get something, right? So I would be comfortable in trading Maxey if I got a surefire star back.
So Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City joining us here on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Yell here on 97.3 ESPN. Mike, you are at the Phillies game. The aforementioned Phillies are losing 5-0 by where the bases are loaded as Hoffman is on the mound in mop-up duty. What is your take on the Phillies right now? Are they just a couple pitchers away from being good? Are they just in the middle of a slump against the Diamondbacks? What is your read on this team as of May 24th?
Ship be sinking right now. That's my read on the Phillies. If they lose today, and it certainly appears they're headed in that direction, they're going to be 22-27. They were 22-29 when they fired Girardi this year. I don't think they've got a drastic move like that in them to sort of jumpstart the team this year. They're not hitting, and their starting pitching is a mess. Regis Suarez gave up 5 runs in 5 innings today, and his ERA went down. That's how poorly he's pitched this season. They have no number 5 starter. They're in trouble, and they begin a 10-game road trip tomorrow that could make or break the season, a road trip that takes them to Atlanta, the Mets, and Washington. When they come back from that trip 10 days from now, things are going to be okay, or they're going to be in a whole lot of trouble and maybe too deep a hole to get out of.
How deep is too deep? Because they almost have the same record this year as last year. We remember the Nationals a few years ago. They were horrible at the end of May, and they won the World Series. So how deep of a hole is it? A specific win-loss for you, Mike? Is it a specific, way that they're playing? Like for you, how do you interpret when the hole is too deep?
Yeah, the baseball season is a marathon, right? But you can't fall behind by like 3 miles and then decide you're going to start sprinting at mile 23 and catch the leaders. So they're in danger right now. If you look at it, they're close to the last place in the wild card standings than they are to a wild card spot. And, we keep mentioning teams that start slow and catch fire. And you're correct. The Washington Nationals did that a few years ago. Have they done it since? No. The Philadelphia Phillies did it last year. What's to say that they're going to do it again? I mean, it's very rarely that you see teams sort of struggle, start slow, and then catch fire. Teams aren't able to do that 2, 3, 4 years in a row. And I think to expect the Phillies to sort of do what they did last year, duplicate what they did last year, is just unrealistic. They've got to start winning, and they've got to start winning soon.
He's Mike McGarry for the Press of Atlantic City. Give him a follow on Twitter at AC Press McGarry. Check out all of his coverage of the Phillies and local high school sports at pressofac.com. Mike, I appreciate you jumping on. The Phillies made a pitching change, so I'll let you go and figure out why they brought in a left-hander in this situation.
All right, Josh, I appreciate it. And Josh, where is Gil? You and I are the foundation of the show. Let the listeners know that holidays do not stop us. We are here for the people, unlike Gil. So I will talk to you again on Friday because you and I care about the listeners. Okay?
Mike, take care of yourself. All right.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Oh, my goodness. Mike McGarry. Yeah, for those who don't know, Mike Gill went on a trip, him and his girlfriend. His girlfriend's son is doing very well in high school sports, and they went on a little trip with the team, so that's why he's not here today. I want to squeeze in one message before we have to get to the break. We'll talk more baseball on the other side with Steve Buchanan from DraftKings. You catch him all the time on MLB Network. Lance chimed in on the DMs. He said, let's remember that Morey could have gotten a package from the Kings for Ben Simmons. Now, essentially, we gave up Simmons, Curry, and Drummond and some first-round picks for nothing. Bring back Harden, trade Maxey. That, in my opinion, is a bad take. Maxey is only 22 years old. Listen, I don't agree with McGarry on that. But McGarry, the thing with him is he's so steadfast. Like, he's planted his flag in the ground so intensely with that position about Maxey that unload the guy, get somebody else in here, win now, or you'll be lost forever. I don't agree with that. I think Maxey's a couple years away from being a perennial all-star player.
Here's what you missed on Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max.
Back in the day, I was a casino manager, and Mr. Johnson came in one night. Saturday night, and he was wearing his own football jersey.
Hey, what team
it
was
a
this?
Jet. It was 1999. We just thought it was odd that you were wearing your own jersey.
He really got me out there looking like a lame. Man, please, Dave, stop it.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. Weekday mornings at 6 on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Hello, I am Barbara, branch manager with Viking Pest. Viking is proud to have served our community for over 40 years. With local offices across the state of New Jersey, we treat for pests in and around your home or business. Visit VikingPest.com for help. That's VikingPest.com.
Kickstarting your summer at the Home Depot is all about three things: saving, doing, and mulching. Make the most of our summer savings at the Home Depot now by getting 5 bags of Vigoro Premium Wood Mulch for just $10. Use it to make your garden pop and retain optimal soil moisture. And if you don't know how much you need, make use of the mulch calculator on our app. Summer savings means summer doing and mulching with Vigoro Mulch at 5 for $10 at the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Do you love a good cigar almost as much as your family? Well, maybe that's an exaggeration, but you can find that perfect cigar at Smokers Haven. With 5 New Jersey locations, Smokers Haven has the finest selection of cigars in the area, like Ashton, My Father's, Romeo and Julieta, Monte Cristo, and more. All from the finest tobacco leaves and hand-rolled by the world's finest cigar makers. All locations are fully open. Stop in and let them help you find the perfect cigar to pair with your life. See all they have and their locations at smokershavennj.com.
Leroy, 71's backed up. What's your 20? Over.
Olivia needs more drivers for her trucking company to go the extra mile.
Got 3 more stops to make.
She wants to hitch a team to drive business forward.
Lots of double nickels on the 169. You know what I'm over? This driver shortage.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Texting enrolls you in recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Leaving for the gym so early?
I'm ready to go.
Since you started taking Nugenix Total T, you've been acting like when we met in our 20s.
I feel like myself again. Lower testosterone after turning 40 slowed me down. Nugenix Total T has been a game changer for me.
What is it about Nugenix Total T that's different?
Well, it's a patented key ingredient called testofen. It boosts free and total testosterone to help you get back the drive and energy from your youth. It's backed by 5 clinical studies.
I've seen the huge difference it's made for you in the gym, at work, and in the bedroom.
I'm so glad I sent them a text for my complimentary bottle. Text ROCK to 321321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. Nugenix is the #1 selling testosterone boosting brand at GNC and Walmart. Do it now and we'll also send you a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, our newest, most powerful fat burner ever. Absolutely free. Text ROCK to 321321. That's ROCK to 321321.
When you want experience, go for the best. Pick up the phone and call Dennisville Fence.
Fences and decks and outdoor showers made of vinyl, aluminum, and wood. They've been serving you since 1952. You're gonna be the envy of your neighborhood.
Are you building a new home or renovating an existing one? As your exclusive South Jersey Active Yards dealer, we make it easy for contractors and homeowners alike to purchase high-quality fencing, railing, and shower enclosure kits. We have glass railing, cable railing, metal railing, and a mile of vinyl T-railing in stock. With materials delivered right to your home or job site, we make it easy to get the products you need when you need them.
So start planning your project today. Visit DennisvilleFence.com or our newest location at 229 Shore Road in Summers Point. Again, that's 229 Shore Road in Summers Point.
Pick up the phone and call Dennisville Fence. 1-800-499-FENCE.
Visit DennisvilleFence.com.
When you open your hopper, you don't fill it with just any hardwood pellets, right? You fill it with Kingsford 100% hardwood blend pellets. Made right here in the USA with North American ingredients and a 100% natural hardwood blend, Kingsford pellets can be used on any pellet grill and add delicious smoky flavor to any meal. Kingsford's the name you trust for the low and slow cooking you crave. So look for Kingsford 100% hardwood blend pellets. Kingsford.com.
Matt Blatt Nissan is now open on the Black Horse Pike in Egg Harbor Township, next to Home Depot. Get out of that old car, truck, or SUV and into a brand new Nissan. The all-new Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike in Egg Harbor Township, or visit us online, mattblattnissan.com.
The voice of sports in South Jersey. The Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
I like the conversation. Every day it's something new.
WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City. A town square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. Now, live inside the Matt Blatt Kia Studios, here's Mike Gill.
Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on Hump Day Wednesday here on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank. Yeah, we'll get to where you guys' thoughts and comments. Keep them coming in on the text board, 609-403-0973. Your DMs in the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank. And don't forget, you leave your name, your information, and we have a chance to give you tickets to go see comedian Shane Gillis at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City, coming to town next month. Keep the messages coming in. Everyone's got an opinion on the Sixers head coaching situation. But right now, we'll get back to the baseball right now as the Phillies continue to be losers, down 5-0 here in, what is it, the bottom of the sixth. Steve Buchanan is back for the 2023 year. We heard him throughout the year. Of course, you see him on MLB Network, DraftKings, MLB analyst joins me now on 97.3 ESPN. Steve, welcome back. How you doing on this Wednesday afternoon?
Yeah, Josh, it's been a long time, but I'm definitely doing better than the Phillies' recent stretch of games. That's for damn sure.
What is your take on the Phillies right now? Because I was just talking with somebody last hour, and they feel like they're starting to dig themselves a hole they can't get out of. And I just keep falling back to, I don't know if it's too deep they can't come out of, because, well, frankly, how many teams start out hot in baseball and they fall apart? So, I mean, it's almost like you want the reverse to happen in baseball.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with starting off a little slow and then getting hot at the end, but that division that they're in, and we talked about this last year, it's not a division you can really afford to start having these prolonged slides, and that's kind of what the Phillies are in right now. They're 3-7 over the last 10 games. Likely going to stay that way if today pans out as it is. But you got Atlanta's playing pretty well. The Mets are starting to play well at this point, and Miami's kind of just hanging around for at this juncture as we head into the month of June. It's just been, I think we can all agree, just the hitting has just been atrocious. I mean, the lack of clutch hits or just hitting from anybody overall is just really, really bad. I mean, where would this team be without Bryce Harper at this point, right? Like, it's just been, he's been a nice breath of fresh air since he's come back. But overall, like, this team is just not getting the timely hitting at all. And then the rotation has had some question marks too as well. Like Wheeler hasn't been as efficient as we've seen in the past and whatnot. Nola's looked great, which is, not something we could say a lot last year, but just overall, I feel like there's a lot more holes you can poke in this team than not.
Yeah, you're at the point where Cody Clemens is giving you more clutch hits than Trey Turner is, and that's a that's a problem in and of itself. And that's not the diss on Trey Turner, but let me ask you, Steve, because you watch the whole league. for us here, there was a perspective on Schwarber, Turner, Realmuto all being in the World Baseball Classic, and it kind of felt like it delayed their entry into the season. And even Realmuto was saying, hey, I wasn't used to the pitch clock and I was getting worn out by the end of games. I was trying to catch my breath. Is there a possibility that maybe part of the Phillies' problem right now is three of their most important hitters all got out of the gate later than everybody else?
I've heard this a lot for a lot of guys that have kind of started off slow. And to me, it's like, we're so past that now, right? Like the World Baseball Classic was what, like the end of March, early April. We're almost in June at this point, right? Like there's going to be adaptation periods for everybody. Everybody goes through spring training. Everybody goes, the select players go through the World Baseball Classic. But it's like, to me, it's like we're so beyond that now that I feel like we can't even use that as an excuse anymore. If they had a poor month of April, sure, I can get down with that without a doubt. But you can't tell me that these guys are still trying to get acclimated with the day-to-day process of baseball when we're approaching June at this point. Like I can't say that is a reasoning anymore. Turner has been the most extreme case, one of the most extreme cases though, because he was red hot during that World Baseball Classic, and now he's hitting like a mediocre, bottom of the half lineup guy, and that's just not been his thing throughout his career. Like the power numbers are down, only 4 home runs I think he's had so far, 6 stolen bases. Like that's pretty low for him too as well. It's just really nothing is going his way at this point, and his numbers, like his advanced numbers, are actually like even worse than his on the surface numbers. So like that's concerning for me. He's so talented though that like I without a doubt would believe that he will turn it around at some point, but as it wears further and further into the season, then it's like, well, this is getting a little concerning now for me when we're approaching June and Trey Turner is barely hitting over 250.
The weird thing in this area is also, I don't know if you saw the Forbes Sports story about how, baseball viewership and attendance is up across the board.
Yeah.
But further down the article broke down, the Phillies have the largest turnaround in attendance from last year to this year. They're averaging almost 10,500 more fans per game than last year. Should they be concerned? Should all these fans showing up hoping this team is, because last year the conversation here was nobody's going to the games. Now everyone's going to the games and the team is kind of like meh.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously a huge concern. And obviously what happened with the Phillies last year was very disappointing, but they were fighting the entire way. Like I remember all throughout the summer, you and I were talking about if they were even going to make the playoffs and all the scenarios that they have to do to get there and everything. So, obviously coming off of last season, there was high hopes for this year because on paper, this is a great team. Like no matter what the results are at this point, they have a very strong team. Like that offense should be very prolific when you look at the numbers up, the names from top to bottom. So in all, obviously baseball is seeing a huge uptick and the pace of games has been amazing. Like I went to a game a couple of weeks ago in Boston, saw them play the Seattle Mariners. I was walking outside the stadium. Game was over. It was 10-10 at night. Like that's incredible. I love that. I love that for the sport. So that is obviously bringing in a lot of new faces and new eyes and everything. But the Phillies team at the end of the day is still going to be a competitive team. Like they're not going to be out of playoff contention in a couple months. I truly don't believe that. But I think it's good to see that there is a huge uptick for Philly because they got a damn good team that they're going out there. They're just not playing to their full potential.
Talking with Steve Buchanan, DraftKings MLB analyst here on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle. Steve, you mentioned earlier about the Braves. So if the Braves are the number 1 team in the National League, let's just kind of put that presumption out there. Who's number 2?
It's very, very close right now because there's a lot of teams that are kind of lumped into that scenario. I honestly feel like the Dodgers could be that team right now because they've been playing extremely well. They got off to a little bit of a slow start. They really didn't do anything this offseason, and yet here they are once again. They're 31-19. They have one of the best winning percentages in the league. But I also think, and this is not indicative of their record, the Cardinals are one of those teams. Yeah, they're 22-28. They got off to a horrific start. Literally one of the worst starts in franchise history. but now they're starting to play to the potential that they were built to play for, and they have been absolutely plowing through their competition, and they got a very, very generous schedule coming up. They might be fourth in the division right now. Give it 2 weeks. Once that schedule completes, they're either in second or in first because they're only behind by 5 games. Not too long ago, they were behind 9 games out of first place. They're making up ground quickly while the rest of that division is kind of just floating along right now. So their record doesn't show it, but I really do believe that St. Louis is one of the better teams in the National League, and now they're starting to play like it.
I mean, they do have a plus 20 run differential despite being 6 games under 500. So I mean,
exactly. Yeah.
It's crazy that a team is that above in the runs and that below in the record, but it kind of gives you an idea that when this team is rocking, they're rocking. I mean, right now, Arenado, he's probably an early MVP candidate at this point.
Yep. No, without a doubt too. And this is somebody who in the beginning of the year, they're like, oh, we got to get rid of this guy. He stinks now. Like it's like the
you gotta love fans, right? You gotta love these fans.
The changing of the winds happened very quickly there, but it was just, again, just some guys just get off to really slow starts. He said that he did some work like with his hands. He said he wasn't comfortable at the plate and whatever, and he was doing like this work with his hands. I don't know what the hell that means, but whatever it did, it changed him. He's a new man. He's the hot guy in St. Louis right now. But just a note on that team too as well. If you go on MLB.com and you look at the standings, they have this column that has an expected win-loss record. And basically they base this record on runs allowed and runs scored, what their record should look like. They are 27-23 in expected win and loss, 22-28, in the real world here. So going back to what you're saying about the run differential, that team is a lot better than they are. So I think that's a big reason. But yeah, Arenado's been a big reason for that. And Goldschmidt, your former reigning MVP there. And then you put Contreras in the mix too as well in the heart of that lineup. Those are 3 tough outs to get into right at the top of the game. So I think they're going to be rolling, and Arenado's just going to be right there with them.
To bring it back to the NL East, because we do have a lot of Met fans who are in this area who might be listening. I do want to ask you about the Mets because they're a team that it was not looking good to start the year. Verlander, Scherzer, Diaz, who knows if he's coming back this year, right? Like it felt like that team was like destined for a bad season. All of a sudden, they've scraped their way to a 25-24 record.
Yep.
What do you think of the Mets right now? Because there's still that part of me, Steve, that says, man, Verlander and Scherzer, they're getting older. Are they going to be able to sustain this? Dave Robertson, he's having a great year on my fantasy baseball team. I know how good he is, but it's like, can he sustain it? Like this Mets team still gives me that little dark cloud hanging over them.
I mean, honestly, that team is built with such like a fragile business model. It feels like, right? Like your top 2 guys in the rotation are on the wrong side of 30 at this point, right? And I'm around that same age range, so I'm not going to sit there and label them old because I'm right there with them. But I'm not a professional athlete. I'm talking with you here on the radio, which is fine.
Right.
I'm no problem with that. But it's a fragile business model because if you have those guys, they need some extra rest or they go down with injury, it's going to take them longer to come back. And when your rotation is really relying on those guys, you're kind of asking for trouble. And the third guy, Senga from Japan, who knows how he was going to turn out? We didn't know how he was going to turn out coming to the Major League Baseball from coming over from Japan. Some guys haven't made it. Daisuke Matsuzaka with the Red Sox years ago, never really transitioned to the Red Sox coming from Japan.
Yep.
So I was always curious how this team was going to work out because the offense is, again, great offense, but all of it was going to rely on that pitching. It's been off to a rough start, whether it's injuries, unnecessary suspensions, whatever you want to call it. I just worry about them moving forward because when you get into the dog days of summer, what are these guys going to look like? So I'm a little iffy on them like you because a lot can go wrong very quickly with that team. But if they're healthy and those guys are playing to their potential, then yeah, you have a stellar rotation. You have a stellar offense, but it's a lot of fragility there.
Between the Braves, the Phillies, and the Mets, who do you expect to make the biggest boom move before the deadline?
Oh, that's a great question. Needs wise, the Philly definitely need more than I think the Braves and the Mets at this point. Like, I don't even know what hole the Mets or the Braves really need to fill at this point, right? Like barring a major injury. I don't know what either team really needs.
I mean, I feel like the Mets probably could use some more depth, right? Like they could use more like guys, break glass just in case of emergency, right?
Sure. But I mean, you could say that for any team. You can never have enough depth. I would say immediate needs. I think the Phillies need, I feel like we're having the same conversation from last year. The Phillies need an impact bat, right? You never really got that in the offseason. Like obviously Trey Turner, we have Trey Turner and all that, but I don't know. Like I feel like there's another middle of the lineup guy that they could use to kind of protect some of the better guys that are up, in the top of the lineup there. So I think an impact bat is definitely a need for the Phillies. I really don't have anything. Maybe a bullpen guy for the Mets, I think, could also help them as well in the later part of the game. But I think the biggest need for out of those teams is Philly getting an impact bat.
Let's flip over to the American League, because basically the entire American League East looks like they could potentially win the American League in the postseason.
My God. I know.
It's crazy that like the Central is probably like the worst division in baseball, and the American League East is just like, it's insane that a couple of these teams are not going to make the playoffs. I mean, for those who haven't been paying attention, every team in the American League East is above 500 by minimum 3 games. Yep. And people know, like the average fan out there knows, Steve, about the Rays, but it's the Orioles, it's the Yankees, the Red Sox are hanging around, the Blue Jays. I mean, the Blue Jays feel like they're the most talented team that never gets out of their own way. It's crazy.
The funny thing is, too, and this is something I really just kind of stumbled upon in my head the other day, is that the American League Central and West might almost be playing in a playoffs format where you're either win the division or you're not going to make it.
Yeah.
Right? Like the olden days without the wild card, because all the wild card spots are going to belong to the American League East. Now, that sounds insane because I just recently expanded the wild card teams, but like that's literally how it's panning out to look like right now. Because if you're not winning the division, you might not make it. AL Central is probably going to have one team come out of that total. And that's whoever wins that division. And then the AL West is going to be a tight race to the top, but I don't think any of those other teams are going to make it if the American League East keeps playing how they do. The real sad part about all this is that Tampa is stealing the headlines from Baltimore, because Baltimore is the story this season for me, because I knew that team had a lot of talented young guys coming up. I did not think it was going to translate this fast. Like I thought maybe 2025, you're a real competitive team. They're 2 years early in my roadmap, I guess you want to say, which doesn't exist, but that's in my head. I have a roadmap.
Right.
But 31-17 coming into today, a 646 winning percentage, and they're only 3 games behind the Tampa Bay Rays. Do you remember the run the Rays went in the month of April? And somehow Baltimore is still only 3 games back? That's remarkable. That's your story in Major League Baseball right now, but we're not talking about it because we're talking about the Rays, or we're talking about how bad some of the other teams are, like in the AL Central, where Detroit is in second place and they're 21-25. Baltimore is getting the short end of the stick here in the 2023 season, and it's a shame because they are a fun team. They're putting up good numbers, and you're not really getting they're just not grabbing the headlines.
I mean, I don't know who's more impressive for you with Baltimore. I mean, is it Tyler Wells? Is it, Ryan Mountcastle? Like, I don't even know who you point to in the Orioles that's so impressive, because people, like, if you know baseball, you know who Adley Rutschman is, right? Like, you know who some of these guys are. Philly fans probably looking at Kyle Gibson like, why couldn't you do that for us last year? But like, the Orioles, like, I don't even know who you point to is like the breakout star, because it feels like it's like the whole lineup is like breakout guys.
You know what it is, though? I do attribute a lot of this to Adley Rutschman, and not because of his offensive prowess, because of what he's doing with this pitching staff. That's what's most important, I think, because Baltimore for years has been a team that opposing offenses would almost like fix any of their slumps, or like, oh, we got the Orioles coming. They're what the Oakland Athletics are today. Almost. It kind of feels like at this point, right? So what Rutschman has been doing for this pitching staff as a whole has just this massive trickle down effect, because this is why this team has a plus 40 run differential, because the pitching has been good, and the offense, which has always been not bad. They feel like one of those sneaky offenses in years past where, they could go out there, put up 5 runs. And you're like, oh, damn. But they're giving up 9 runs in the same breath. So it's like, well, it doesn't matter. they're basically what the Athletics are this year. So I think Adley being able to kind of really put a lockdown on this pitching staff has been the biggest difference. And I think that's a big reason why they're at 31-17, on May 24th.
I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Felix Bautista, that guy's averaging 2 strikeouts an inning. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous for those who haven't seen him.
Oh, it's honestly, there's just so many names you can pluck out of there, and it's remarkable what they're doing.
Before I let you go, Steve, I wanted to ask you, because you are well known as a Mariners guy, so you watch that AL West very closely, but I want to ask you about the team that's in the cellar out there. This situation with the A's is the most I just finished reading the Ricky Henderson book, right? And you're reading the book and you're like, oh, the A's of the 80s, the A's of the 90s. And it's like 20 years later, it's like complete opposite over there. And it's like, oh, but that team might be moving to Vegas. And I was talking with somebody from Vegas last week, and he told me, he's like, dude, if the A's move here, nobody will care. Like, the only thing they're getting out of this is a new stadium.
Yeah. And the untimely death of the Tropicana is not warranted. I like the Tropicana. That's where they're looking to build the stadium. The Trop didn't need to die for this, for the Oakland Athletics to come into town. Talk about unnecessary. But you know what? It's going to come down to, maybe the residents of Vegas don't want the Oakland Athletics, and I believe that. Doesn't matter. Vegas is a tourist cash cow. People are going to go to that just for the sake of going. And that's really what it comes down to. That's why Raiders games are so full or whatnot. Oakland is going to fill that stadium, on a random Wednesday because it's in Las Vegas. The promos that they'll do, free tickets they can give out, whatever. It's going to happen. And, it's unfortunate that the Trop has to die for this.
Oh, there's probably going to be some excessive casino comps for some of those people to go to those games. I know that for sure.
Yes.
Can I tell you right now, everyone I know who lives out there says the hottest team in that city, no matter what time of year it is the Golden Knights. Like, it's not even the Raiders. Like, people love that Knights team. And apparently the environment, that T-Mobile Arena is like insane.
I mean, I'm not a hockey guy by any means, but I can 100% assure you that they are the hottest ticket in town. And I'm actually very disappointed in myself for leaving them out when I was talking about that. I knew there was another team. I'm not a hockey guy, so don't blame me. I didn't come on here to talk hockey, but that is very true. You are 100% right.
I knew there was another team. That's the line to take away from our conversation.
Yep, baseball guy, not a hockey guy.
Steve Buchanan covers baseball for DraftKings. Check him out on Twitter at SBuchanan24. And of course, you can catch him all over the digital sphere as well as on MLB Network as well. Steve, we'll have to make you a regular again as we progress through the season, because for people in this area, everything else is done. It's baseball season now because Sixers and Knicks, they're out of it. Hockey teams, they're out of it. You had the Devils, the Rangers, and the Islanders all in the playoffs, and they're all out. It's like, all right, nobody cares anymore. It's baseball and then random football stories at this point.
It's going to be baseball only very soon here in Boston, unless the Celtics, make it 3 more in a row. So I totally understand what you're talking about. Yep.
Steve, take care of yourself. Appreciate you coming on.
All right, no problem, man. Talk to you later. Thanks.
Josh Hennig here, filling in for Mike Gill on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. I got a bunch of messages to get to coming up on the other side. 609-403-0973. That is the text board. Your DMs in the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. And everybody who texts in, you leave your name, you have a chance to win tickets to go see the comedian Shane Gillis at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. We'll get to your messages on the other side. Plus, coming up in less than 20 minutes from now, we'll talk more NBA with Keith Smith, NBA insider for Spot Track. And don't forget, football at 4. Jeff Mosher is back at 4 o'clock. Thanks to the Inside the Birds podcast, all on a Hump Day Wednesday. I am Josh Hennig, and this is 97.3 ESPN.
A sports station that hits a home run every time.
Swing and a drive. Forget it. Right field. Way back. Look out. Second deck and it's gone. Kyle Schwarber with a mammoth home run over the right field fence into the second deck.
It's 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's home for the best Phillies sports talk.
The weather is getting warmer, and that means it's time for the Gentilini Motors Memorial Day celebration event that ends with our 47th annual Car and Truck Show on Saturday, June 3rd from 10 to 2. It's an all-American celebration with hot dogs and spicy sausages on the grill, vintage cars and trucks from all eras, and fun for the whole family. Visit us online at GennelliniMotors.com or in person at our Ford and Chevy dealerships today to save thousands off new or certified pre-owned vehicles. Get 0% financing on select models or lease one of 11 different models for under $300 per month. Stop by Genellini Motors to kick off the summer with us at our 47th annual Car and Truck Show and take advantage of the best deals with real value and no empty promises on America's best-selling and most awarded brands. Located at 500 John S. Penn Boulevard next to the airport in Woodbine, New Jersey, or just a short drive from anywhere.
Just a short drive from anywhere. Genellini Family Motors.
Staples has everything your business needs all in one place. Shipping supplies and services, so you can fill orders from all over in one stop. Plus professional print and marketing services at your fingertips. And now during Staples Small Business Deal Days, when rewards members spend $100 or more, they get $20 back in rewards plus another $10 back with the Staples Connect app. And you'll find new deals in store every week on tech, chairs, and shipping supplies. Get everything for your business for less at Staples. Rewards offer ends 5/27. Limit 1. Redeemable in-store only.
Turn your home into restricted airspace. Tell incoming flights you want them diverted. The new Raid Essentials Light Trap plugs into the wall and uses light to attract, then trap flying insects like fruit flies and mosquitoes. Its 24/7 continuous attraction provides insecticide-free protection that's people and pet friendly. Consider air service interrupted. New Raid Essentials Light Trap. Insecticide-free protection.
These are emails filling your employees' inboxes, downloads beaming from device to device, and any one of them could be a cyber attack. Is it possible to keep your small business safe? It is with Comcast Business Security Edge. It helps keep your connected devices protected, and you can monitor threat activity in real time. So this security threat is the last thing you need to worry about. With Comcast Business, advanced security isn't just possible, it's happening.
Get started with fast speeds and advanced security for $39 a month for 12 months with no annual contract. Plus, ask how to get up to a $500 prepaid card with a qualifying bundle. Call or go online today to learn more. Offer ends 6/21/2023. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and automatic payments. New 50 megabits per second internet and Security Edge customers only. Equipment, taxes, and other fees extra and subject to change. After promo, regular rates apply.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Thinking about gas mileage. You know, changing your oil with a full synthetic oil like Valvoline Advanced can help your engine get more miles. Right now, buy a 5-quart jug and get a free STP Extended Life Oil Filter. That's right, free. Get started on your next job today with the parts you need, when you need them, at AutoZone or AutoZone.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop, opt out. Go to nomoredraftywindows.com for full offer details. Attention all homeowners. Do you know when to replace your windows? Feeling too hot or cold? It's time to replace. Fog between the glass. Time to replace. Spending too much on expensive energy that literally goes out the window? It's definitely time to replace. If you've put off replacing windows in your home because it's too expensive, here's great news. You can now get a free in-home window consultation and free price quote from Renewal by Andersen, the company with the most 5-star reviews among leading full-service window replacement companies. And right now, you can save $359 off every window and $887 off every door. Just text PLACE to 200-300 for your free consultation on top-quality affordable windows or patio doors for $0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for a year. That's right, you don't pay a dime for an entire year. Plus, save $359 off every window and $887 off every door. But hurry, these big dollar savings end this month. Text PLACE to 200-300 right now. Text the word PLACE to 200-300. Don't wait. Text PLACE to 200-300.
With GMF financing, qualified buyers excludes Corvette.
At Bennett Chevrolet, we're selling new Chevys at real GM supplier employee prices and not 1 cent more. And you keep all the rebates. Not some. I said you keep all the rebates. Up to $8,000 right now. By giving you a discount or all the rebates. Bennett Chevy gives you both the real deal GM supplier employee price plus all the rebates up to $8,000 during our Memorial Day super sale. And there's available 1.9% financing. Looking for used? Bennett will pay you a minimum $10,000 for any clunker, junker, or whatever you can drag to our lot towards any pre-owned in stock. That's at least $10,000. We pay a lot more for good trades. And unlike other dealers, our sales team is non-commissioned. They're paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. You've got to come experience the difference. Find new roads at Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
Now, back to more Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's sports leader.
Josh Hennig filling for Mike Gill on a hump day Wednesday here on 97.3 ESPN. Just a little clarity, my guy, Doc Purcell, chimed in. I've actually known Purcell for a very long time. He says, what's going on with the Trop? So, Steve Buchanan, I think he forgot he was speaking to an area that's near Atlantic City. So the Tropicana in Vegas might get demoed for the new A's baseball ballpark. That's what he was talking about because they're trying to put the ball as close to the strip as possible for different logistical reasons. So not the Atlantic City Tropicana, it's the Las Vegas Trop. But I do appreciate you texting in, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Over on the text board, 609-403-09. So we got a bunch of messages coming in again. You leave your name and you give me your comment. You have a chance to win tickets to go see the comedian Shane Gillis at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. By the way, one anonymous texter said, Brett Brown died for our sins. Give me back Brett Brown. I can't even take that serious. That's probably why he didn't put his name on it because it's such a silly comment. Look, Brett Brown, he served a purpose. He was the punching bag for an organization that didn't want to actually deal with the media half the time. So that's what he was here for. Chris in the Villas chimes in and says, Budenholzer's my pick because of his ability to build a team around a superior big man, similar to how Spoelstra built around Jimmy Butler. By the way, Chris in the Villas, what does community car guy mean? Does that mean like you're like a Lyft or Uber driver? Like, are you like you driving like a one of those like shuttle buses around? Like what I don't know exactly what community car guy means, but that's from Chris in the Villas. I like Budenholzer in general. Okay, I do agree with you that he did a very good job of building around Giannis. He also elevated Giannis from what he was before he got him into a multiple MVP winner. My only concern with Budenholzer is he's now been in two organizations that he had basically issues with the front office. And if there's a disconnect between the people running the team on upstairs and the guy who's running the team on the basketball court, you're probably not going to have the most successful team long term. But if you're looking for a short term guy, Budenholzer is definitely the guy because Budenholzer, 5 years in Atlanta, 5 years in Milwaukee, short, spurt of success, and then gets run out of town in both situations. By the way, Tom in the Villa says that too much newspaper ink is affecting Mike McGarry from the trade Maxey. Cole from LBI says if the Sixers trade Maxey, he's probably going to turn into Jamal Murray for whoever you trade him to. Listen, I'm a big Maxey guy. I'm with you, Cole. I'm with you, Tom, in the Villas. This idea that trading Maxey is going to be an answer to anything, I think I'm out on that. Because guess what? You know who Maxey is? Maxey's the guy who's going to be here when Joel Embiid is no longer here. 5-6 years down the road, when Embiid is no longer the perennial MVP candidate, Maxey has to be the guy to step in. He's 22 years old. He's going to be in his prime in a few years. Don't let go of the future to sacrifice for no guarantee in the present. That's what I say about Maxey. Dan EHT chimes in, says, Josh, please save me from the Phillies. They are unwatchable. They don't have one player overachieving and maybe three that are playing to their potential. It's officially Phillies bashing season with no Sixers, no Eagles news right now. And you get the idea. Even the fanatic is probably underachieving this year. That's from DH State. By the way, the Phillies are losing 5-3 right now for what that's worth, even though the bases are loaded with 2 outs. Look, the problem with the Phillies is, you heard Steve talk about it, we're getting to the point where using the excuse of the World Baseball Classic or slow start, we're kind of passing that line of demarcation between being patient and being impatient. And Danny AC is right. It is getting close to being Phillies bashing season. I'm not saying you should be bashing the Phillies. I think the Phillies are still a playoff team. I think they can still get out of this, but they're on the verge of losing 3 straight to a Diamondbacks team. Now, the Diamondbacks, they're 29-20. They're in second place in the National League West. So they're not a bad team. It's not like you're losing like the Oakland A's or something. But I do understand what the fans feel, that they look at this team and they say, you gave Trey Turner all this money. Kyle Schwarber has a batting average under 200. Ranger Suarez gave him 5 runs in this game today. You're looking at this team, you're looking at Wheeler and his struggles. You're saying, what is wrong with these guys? Like, you showed us last year you're good. Now this year you come back down to earth. It's frustrating. Another message coming in at 609-403-0973. This listener didn't leave their name, but I thought it was a very interesting comment by them. They say, my choice for the Sixers is Frank Vogel. He's a local guy. I'm a 36-year-old female, but I love the Eagles and Sixers first. I met Vogel in person several times. His basketball IQ is outstanding. He's a game changer. I know he's apparently not considered a top candidate, but I still think he'd be a good pick. Well, first of all, I love the little context and big story there. I wish you would have left your name. I could have named you on the radio here on 97.3 ESPN, but I think Frank Vogel actually is a higher tier candidate. He already got interviewed. You don't get interviewed for a job if you're not under serious consideration. I think the problem with Vogel is he has 2 tiers going against him. The one tier with Vogel is that there's a perception that he has been scapegoated now in 3 different teams. When the Pacers couldn't beat LeBron James and the Miami Heat, he was scapegoated for that, which wasn't his fault at all. I mean, he took LeBron, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, one of the best teams of the last 15 years, 7 games, and they couldn't beat them with Paul George, Roy Hibbert, and Lance Stevenson. You tell me how good that team is with any other coach. Oh, wait a minute, I saw that. Nate McMillan couldn't get the same success out of them. They got rid of Paul George. Pacers had to go through a rebuild. But Vogel got blamed for that. Then Vogel got blamed for the team being bad in Orlando, which he never had a good team. The roster was horrible. And then he got blamed for the front office making mistakes with the Lakers. And LeBron James never wanted him fired. So I think Vogel's first problem is he's been scapegoated in 3 situations. Is there a perception versus reality issue when it comes to him? And the second question I would have with Vogel is, how does Frank feel about this team as currently constructed? Is he a guy in Vogel who says, I want Harden, I don't want Harden, I can maximize an Embiid? Because one of Vogel's strengths is in Indiana and with the Lakers, he got those teams to play really good defense. Now, Doc Rivers, when he was hired, said, I want number 1 defensive team in the league. He really didn't get that. Now, was that Doc or was it the roster? Vogel is a guy who has found ways to get a lot out of role players. So is he a guy that you want to hire and say, hey, does he get a lot out of these younger players? But then the question is, are they willing defenders? One more, Ryan in Egg Harbor says, I want Sam Cassell or Dawn Staley. Well, Dawn Staley is not a candidate for the job, Ryan. I appreciate the thought of Dawn. I think she would definitely leave her job at South Carolina and coach the Sixers if she had the opportunity, but she's not a candidate. She was not one of the people they're interviewing. My only concern with Sam Cassell is he was reportedly the guy in Harden's ear all year. He was supposedly the guy that Harden entrusted the most and worked with the most, but yet Harden completely fell apart in the final 2 games of that series. So was that Harden Was that Cassell not getting through to him? How do you read that? That's my only concern with Sam Cassell's candidacy. We'll talk more about the NBA playoffs and Sixers head coaching search with Keith Smith, NBA insider for Spot Track, next. I'm Josh Hennig, filling in for Mike Gill on a Hump Day Wednesday on 97.3 ESPN.
There's never an off season for the NFL. It's football at 4, every day at 4 p.m. on the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
0 down, 0% financing, and $7,000 off MSRP on every clearly marked Matt Blatt Nissan in stock.
Oh yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
Stuck in a loan or lease? AJ the Trademan can get you released, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth, with 0 down and 0% financing on every Nissan Rogue for 36 months, even 0% for 60 months, plus $7,000 off MSRP on every Nissan Titan in stock. And don't forget, AJ the Trademan will get you more for your trade, so you can drive a brand new Nissan. And of course, the Matt Blatt Nissan Peace of Mind 4-day love it or leave it return policy, only at MattBlattNissan.com. On approved Tier 1 credit through NEMAC. Negative equity will be refinanced to the new vehicle plus tax tag and $589 doc fee. Offer call 877-289-6670 or go to MattBlattNissan.com for complete details. Offer ends 6/3/2023. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike in Egg Harbor Township.
Whether you own a local business or a global one, you know that these days, generating growth is a challenge. By teaming with Bank of America, you'll not just stay ahead of the curve, you'll move it. With access to experts, award-winning insights, and business solutions so powerful, you'll make every move matter, locally and globally. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Copyright 2023 Bank of America, N.A.
We are here with Dr. Scott Hernberg, Medical Director and founder of Tomorrow's Wellness Center in Northfield, one of our 97.3 ESPN industry aces. Dr. Hernberg, tell us about Tomorrow's Wellness Center.
We offer the most advanced technology and evidence-based practices in a holistic and integrative manner to provide optimal health and wellness. We strive passionately to make folks look and feel their best.
You treat ED. How common is ED?
Erectile dysfunction is a very common disorder, particularly as men begin to age. Typically, about 40% of men experience some form of erectile dysfunction.
What does Tomorrow's Wellness Center do for ED?
We use a protocol called the Gaines wave therapy. What this therapy involves is low-intensity shock waves that are essentially sound waves. It's natural, essentially painless procedure used to improve the blood flow as well as to improve the sensitivity.
Dr. Scott Hernberg from Tomorrow's Wellness Center in Northfield. You can find out more at tomorrowswellnesscenter.com.
Kickstarting your summer at the Home Depot is all about 3 things: saving, doing, and mulching. Make the most of our summer savings at the Home Depot now by getting 5 bags of Vigoro Premium Wood Mulch for just $10. Use it to make your garden pop and retain optimal soil moisture. And if you don't know how much you need, make use of the mulch calculator on our app. Summer savings means summer doing and mulching with Vigoro Mulch at 5 for $10 at the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
One of the most influential names in comedy today, Andrew Schultz, will be live at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City, Saturday, July 29th. Known for his unapologetic and unsafe comedy, Andrew Schultz has become the most viewed comedian in the world. Don't miss Andrew Schultz live at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City, Saturday, July 29th. Tickets on sale Thursday, May 25th at 10 a.m. at theoceanac.com. Must be 21 or older to wager or consume alcohol. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
I had a nighttime routine for my frequent heartburn. I would drink milk, I would sleep upright with more pillows, but that painful burning stayed. So I made Prilosec OTC part of my morning routine. With just 1 pill each morning, Prilosec OTC prevents excess acid production, blocking heartburn day and night. Now I have a new nighttime routine. I call it sleeping.
1 pill a day, 24 hours, 0 heartburn. With Prilosec OTC. It's possible while taking Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
The 2024 X5 has arrived at BMW of Atlantic City. Take advantage of early bird pricing on one of the most highly anticipated vehicles of the year. Right now, lease a new 2024 BMW X5 xDrive 40i for $939 a month for 36 months. Looking to trade? Top dollar for your vehicle. Visit BMW of Atlantic City, closer than you think. Located in Egg Harbor Township and online at bmwatlanticcity.com. For more details, call us toll free at 609-316-2393.
Now, back to the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
Somehow the Celtics are still alive in this series. The Nuggets are in the NBA Finals, and the Sixers are still in search of an NBA head coach. We'll get into all that and more right now. Josh Hennig filling for Mike Gill on a Wednesday on 97.3 ESPN. Keith Smith covers the NBA. You can check out his work over with Spot Track, and you can follow him at Keith Smith NBA on Twitter. Doing it Wednesday here on 97.3 ESPN. Keith, welcome back in. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
I want to start with Nick Nurse because I saw the news come out earlier today that he is a finalist for the Suns job. So now he's a finalist for the Bucks job and the Suns job. And he interviewed the Sixers on Monday. We've been asking the question, should the Sixers move in on him to lock him up? Should they finish their process of interviewing candidates? What is your position on Nick Nurse and the Sixers?
Yeah, I think if he is their guy, you probably want to move quick because he is starting to become the common thread between all these jobs that are open. And that, that makes it tough because then you can get into a spot where, hey, if you're forced to move, it's not that it's not his decision, right? But it's not any picking between you and somewhere else if he doesn't have the other offer yet. So if they want him, move quick and try to get him wrapped up and get moved on so that way you can start building out a roster plan for next season.
When you think about the Sixers head coaching search, do you feel like this is going to be a long process? Like I was reading Jake Fisher's story on Yahoo Sports, and he made it sound like the Bucks are trying to get this locked in before anyone else does. I feel like the Sixers are kind of taking the more methodical approach.
Yeah, I think it's every franchise treats it a little bit different. Some of them are, hey, we're going to build a roster, and then we're going to get a coach that, we feel like fits with that roster, or the coach will have to be a little more malleable. Then there's other franchises that are like, all right, we're going to get our coach, then we're going to build a roster that fits the way that coach wants to play. And then you have some that are, hey, I want to get this done, so it's off my plate. I can move on and get ready for the draft and free agency. And others are a little bit more of, hey, this is a really important decision. We got to make sure, above all, that we get this right. So I don't know if there's any one size fits all, but it does seem like, the Bucks are maybe moving a little quickly. The Suns, it's not. Well, depending on who you listen to, which reports you're going to run with. Some are, they're down to 4 finalists. Others are they're down to 5. And other reports are out there that, hey, close to done, they've added 2 more guys. So I'm not quite sure where they're at, but yeah, it's one of those things where if you think that Nick Nurse is your guy, get this done because otherwise you may have Phoenix or Milwaukee kind of swoop in and snap him up because he seems like he's the top prospect. I guess I'm already thinking draft, but he's the top candidate on the market.
So is there a guy of the initial list that, as we progress, that you think would be the best for the Sixers? Because it feels like a lot of people in our audience, like, for example, you have a group of people who say they want Frank Vogel because he's a local guy. You have the people who say they want Budenholzer because we did with Giannis, how we elevated him. You have the people who want Nurse because, well, he's Nick Nurse and he's popular. Like, is there a guy on the list that you like more than the rest?
Yeah, I don't know that there's anybody I necessarily like more, but I definitely think the Sixers are in a spot where you got to go with a veteran coach. You need somebody who's really ready to win now. I think they all bring different things. I think Mike Budenholzer, you hire him, you're going to be in a spot where you feel like your floor is pretty well established, right? You're going to make the playoffs. You're going to be a really good team. The question is, can he get you over the hump and get you into the finals and maybe beyond? He did that once with Milwaukee, but fell short other years. And then, Nurse, you kind of know what he can do. He's done a lot of different things. He can coach a lot of different roster styles because, of course, you're going to be built around Joel Embiid. But I think your other challenge with Nick Nurse in the roster is you don't really know who else is going to be there, right? Because they could be going through a period of roster change and all those sorts of things. So that's something else that you have to factor in as well. I think Monty Williams could do a good job there. I definitely think Frank Vogel, who's built really good defenses around good defensive centers, could be there and do a good job too. So I don't know that they can really go wrong with the choice out of, the veteran coaches, because I think they all bring a little something different to the table.
How much do you believe in this, where there's smoke, there is fire with this James Harden stuff?
Yeah, I believe in it a lot. I tend to think, when we hear a story, and it was right around the holiday period, first time that came up of, hey, Houston thinks they have a chance at James Harden, and then it doesn't go away, and it only gets stronger and stronger over the months. I tend to believe in those quite a bit. That hey, there might really actually be something to this. So I think there is in this case with James Harden of we may see this has been something that's been locked in and kind of planned out for a while now, which that's just tends to be how it goes in the NBA, especially with these star level guys. But I do think that there is definitely something there.
Someone suggested the other day that, if Harden does go to Houston, maybe we need to investigate Houston the same way the Sixers got investigated. What are your thoughts on that situation? Like, is there potentially a little side wheeling and dealing going on, you think, here?
It's certainly possible. I think anytime you're talking max players, which James Harden is still at that level, there's definitely going to be some conversations that are had, let's say, before they're allowed to be had, right? Because you just need to have kind of an idea of, where this is going. The challenge comes in proving all of it, right? And what level of conversation and who had those conversations. Was that ownership? Was that the front office with James Harden, with his reps? How did we get to this point? The reality is we hear every time one of these super teams is formed, they generally tend to talk about, we talked all about this, when we spent time together at the Olympics or at the World Cup or, at an all-star weekend or whatever it is. And that becomes, all right, so where are we going with this? But I think, in this case, it'd be very, very hard to prove unless it becomes, all right, James Harden comes and we have 4 other moves lined up and, bing, bing, bing in rapid succession. These are all the things that are going down. Then I find it very hard to believe that all came together in the span of, a couple of hours as free agency open. I tend to think, all right, then there were definitely some conversations being had before. I'll use this as my opportunity to say, I think tampering is the dumbest thing that people get, worked up about or gets really even enforced in the NBA. I don't like it when a guy's under a multi-year contract, 2-3 guaranteed years, and somebody's messing around with them, in the middle of their deal. But if it's a pending free agent, my belief has been all along, let them start talking to people as soon as their season is over, because I don't really care. It's, you can't enter into anything official until, we get to, July anyway. So just let people start talking to people would remove a lot of this silliness that we go through every single year.
Keith Smith, catch him on Twitter at Keith Smith NBA and all of his work with Spot Track. Keith, last night we saw the Celtics, Jekyll and Hyde, the good side, come out for at least a half, and they went on to win the game. Was last night an omen of things to come, or do you think it was just an opportunity that the Celtics got hot, Gabe Vincent bent his ankle in half, and that Miami will still win this series?
Yeah, I still tend to think Miami's going to win the series, right? They need to win 1 game. Boston needs to win 3. So it still, very heavily favors the Heat to come out and win. That said, I think if we're going to ever see this in the NBA, and I'll go further, we will see someone come back from 0-3 at some point. It's just, it's just math, right? We've seen 16 seeds beat 1 seeds in the NCAA tournament. We've seen 0-3 comebacks in other sports before. So we will see this. I think it could be a team like this where, Boston can defend. Miami is due for some shooting regression to the mean, and the Celtics are due to shoot it better than they've shot it in this series. So we could get some, leveling off. I don't expect it, though, by any means. I think Miami's going to win. I think Celtics have a great chance, though, to win Game 5, get the series back to Miami. And I'll tell you, if they win Game 5, all of a sudden, the pressure's already starting to build on Miami because once you go up 3-0, you're expected to win the series, right? And then every game you lose from there, it starts to get more and more tight on you. So if they can force a game 6, all of a sudden all that pressure's on the Heat. We'll start to see, can they handle that or not?
How much of this also is styles make fights? The idea that the Miami Heat are just a bad matchup for a team like Boston. Like, are we not factoring that in enough? Or is it just as simple as Boston is 38-2 when they shoot 40% from 3?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both there. Miami can play, very good matchups against the Celtics. They are very comfortable going to one big lineups with Bam Adebayo kind of anchoring everything and everybody else working off of him as far as the way they're built both ways. They can stretch you out because of Bam's playmaking and screening ability out around the top of the key. That really makes it difficult sometimes to kind of get their offense gummed up. And then, a lot of it is, I hate to boil it down to, basketball, it's the most simple premise of, make or miss, but there is a lot of that. The Celtics have shot fairly poorly. Now, some of that is Miami, but they've also generated some really great looks throughout the course of this series that just weren't going down. And now those start falling. All of a sudden, the math starts to change, and we could be in a spot where this series looks a lot more competitive than it was going to look a couple days ago.
Keith, before I let you go, I want to ask you real quick. Nuggets are in their first NBA Finals in franchise history. What can the Sixers organization learn from the Nuggets' success in building around Jokic?
Yeah, it's important to get the right pieces around your star player, especially when that star player is a big man, because, we all love, the centers that can do a lot of stuff. And both Nikola Jokic and Joel Embiid can do a lot of stuff, but they can't be the guys who are bringing the ball up the court every single play, setting everything. You got to get the right guys around them. Philly has guys in place, but what Denver has done is everybody that they have added to that team since kind of became, Jokic's, all right, this is it. This is our guy that we need to build this team around. Everybody they've added has been, can they play with him? It's never just, go get that guy because he's good. Go get this player. It's like, can they move off ball? Can they cover something defensively that Jokic can't do? Can they, hit shots? What does it look like? Every move they've made, whether that be, getting Aaron Gordon, getting Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, taking the risk in drafting Michael Porter Jr. and having that pan out. And then their bench, filling up their bench with, Bruce Brown and Jeff Green and guys like that. Everything they've done has been around, we got to build this team around this guy. And that's where, Philly, I think, has done that to an extent, but I think there's also still been a point of, hey, let's just collect some talent. Let's go get some guys. And I think it needs to be a little bit more of, does this guy fit with Joel Embiid if this guy is going to be where we go? That needs to be your primary question moving forward. And if the answer isn't yes, he fits perfectly with Joel Embiid, you probably want to look somewhere else.
Give him a follow on Twitter at Keith Smith NBA. Check out all of his work with Spot Track. And, of course, we catch him every Wednesday to talk NBA here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. Keith, catch you next week.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. Good stuff from Keith there. Great perspective on, what the Sixers need to do. Because I keep saying that, you got to learn from other people for success at times. You got to be the team that says, what did somebody else do well? How can I replicate that? And I think the Sixers are in a position where you got to admit that what you've done so far hasn't worked. So look at a team like Milwaukee with Giannis. Look at a team like Denver and Jokic and try to figure out, hey, what did they do right that we can replicate? Coming up on the other side, football at 4. Jeff Mosher is back from the Inside the Birds podcast. We'll dig deep into the latest with the Eagles this offseason. Josh Hennig filling for Mike Gill. Hump Day Wednesday on 97.3 ESPN.
It's time to get your grill on as we kick off the summer season. If you're hosting a get-together, you want to make sure you do it right. Here are some tips from the grill company Weber. Preheat the grill with the lid closed for 10 to 15 minutes. It loosens any bits of food on the grate and makes for more even cooking. Keep the grill clean to keep food from sticking. It's easiest to clean with a stainless steel brush while it's still hot. Put oil on the food, not the grate. Keep the lid down while cooking to sear the food, speed cooking time, and prevent flare-ups. If you're using a charcoal grill, skip the lighter fluid. Who wants foul-smelling chemicals under their food? Chimney starters and lighter cubes are much cleaner and more effective. Finally, use a grill thermometer to make sure your food is cooked properly. I'm Robin Stoloff for Health Update.
Recycling is an easy and important activity you can do every day to help the environment. ACUA reminds you to recycle metal cans, glass jars, cardboard, paper, and accepted plastics. To learn more, visit acua.com or call 609-272-6950.
The weather is getting warmer, and that means it's time for the Gentilini Motors Memorial Day celebration event that ends with our 47th annual Car and Truck Show on Saturday, June 3rd from 10 to 2. It's an all-American celebration with hot dogs and spicy sausages on the grill, vintage cars and trucks from all eras, and fun for the whole family. Visit us online at GentilinIMotors.com or in person at our Ford and Chevy dealerships today to save thousands off new or certified pre-owned vehicles. Get 0% financing on select models or lease one of 11 different models for under $300 per month. Stop by Gentilini Motors to kick off the summer with us at our 47th annual Car and Truck Show. Take advantage of the best deals with real value and no empty promises on America's best-selling and most awarded brands. Located at 500 John S. Penn Boulevard next to the airport in Woodbine, New Jersey, for just a short drive from anywhere.
Just a short drive from anywhere. Gentilini Family Motors.
Kickstarting your summer at the Home Depot is all about three things: saving, doing, and mulching. Make the most of our summer savings at the Home Depot now by getting 5 bags of Vigoro Premium Wood Mulch for just $10. Use it to make your garden pop and retain optimal soil moisture. And if you don't know how much you need, make use of the mulch calculator on our app. Summer savings means summer doing and mulching with Vigoro Mulch at 5 for $10 at the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Texting enrolls you in recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Leaving for the gym so early?
I'm ready to go.
Since you started taking Nugenix Total T, you've been acting like when we met in our 20s.
I feel like myself again. Lower testosterone after turning 40 slowed me down. Nugenix Total T has been a game changer for me.
What is it about Nugenix Total T that's different?
Well, it's a patented key ingredient called testofen. It boosts free and total testosterone to help you get back the drive and energy from your youth. It's backed by 5 clinical studies.
I've seen the huge difference it's made for you in the gym, at work, and in the bedroom.
I'm so glad I sent them a text for my complimentary bottle. Text ROCK to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. Nugenix is the #1 selling testosterone boosting brand at GNC and Walmart. Do it now and we'll also send you a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, our newest, most powerful fat burner ever. Absolutely free. Text ROCK to 321-321. That's ROCK to 321-321.
What dealer has new Kias under 25 grand and only 2.9% financing?
Who is Matt Black Kia?
What dealer will pay off your trades, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth?
Who is Matt Black Kia?
Correct. Have job clearing $350 per week. Matt Black Kia in Egg Harbor Township or Toms River wants to approve you. New 2023 Kia Forte or Soul, 0 down and just 2.9% financing for 48 months. Plus, we're overloaded with trades, low mileage, one owner trades, many with remaining factory warranty, and they must go to make room for new Kias arriving daily. Just because you don't see your new Kia on the lot doesn't mean you can't be driving it home tomorrow with our exclusive 4-day love it or leave it return policy.
It's gotta be a Matt Black Kia.
With approved credit, not all will qualify. $27.78 per thousand finance. Go to mattblackkia.com for complete details or 888-505-6670. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer, except for licensing, registration, and taxes. Expires 5/31/23. Matt Black Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, and now on Route 37 in Toms River.
South Jersey's play-by-play home for the Eagles,
Touchdown!
Sixers,
It's good!
and Flyers.
Oh, big save by Carter Hart.
97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City, a Town Square media station. 97.3 ESPN presents the Sports Bash with Mike Gill. It's time for Football at 4 with Jeff Mosier.
My personality is I want to win badly. I want to win more Lombardis for Philadelphia and our fans. We got the greatest fans around, and I will do everything possible.
Powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. Now, live from inside the Matt Black Kia Studios. This is Football at 4.
Josh Hennig, Philly for Mike Gill on a Hump Day Wednesday. You're on 97.3 ESPN. Yes, the Phillies are still losing at the end of the 8th inning, 5-3. But there is some Eagles news to touch on. I wasn't expecting any Eagles news to happen, but, out of nowhere, is anyone really surprised that an offensive lineman is in the Eagles news? We'll get to all that and more. Jeff Mosher. Of course, you catch him on the Inside the Birds podcast, InsideTheBirds.com, and follow him on Twitter at Jeff P. Mosher is the Twitter handle. Jeff, welcome back. How you doing today, my friend?
I'm good, my friend. You enjoying the pinch hitting role today?
Well, I'm certainly, I think, doing better than the Phillies are. So
yeah, well, it doesn't take much.
So the news came out for those who didn't see it. Ian Rappaport confirmed a report this afternoon that the Eagles worked out DJ Fluker for a workout, a guy who was a former first-round pick. I mean, should we really be surprised, though, that the Eagles are working out offensive linemen at this point?
No, never surprising. And something that Adam and I have talked about is when you look at what the Eagles have historically had going back, just in general, a couple of years, but especially last year, is really good depth on their offensive line. And last year, maybe some of the best depth they've ever had. You have a first-round pick, Andre Dillard, as your left tackle. You have Jack Driscoll, who had started a lot of games as a swing tackle guard. You had Sua Opeta at one point. I'm trying to think. There's another guard whose name I'm not. Oh, Cam Jurgens was there in case Jason Kelsey was hurt, and we saw that he could play center in the preseason. So, losing Isaac Seumalo, though, right, and then losing Dillard threatened not only a starting spot, but depth, even though they did draft Tyler Steen. So they do have Fred Johnson, who has played a little bit on their roster, competing to make the team. And they have Tyrese Robinson, who I believe has played a little bit, made a couple of starts in the NFL, who is on the team. But, they're always looking for good backup veteran depth who can step in there and hold the fort down if need be. And Fluker has been a guy who's played a while in the NFL, and he's always seemingly had a ceiling. It's funny because I did a whole scouting project on DJ Fluker when I was doing the Scouting Academy, run by Dan Hatman, and I watched a lot of his tape on DJ, and he's a really good athlete, and he's got, good anchor skills. He has really, he was a first-round pick. But the one thing that always stood out to me is that he blocks with his head down, which is never good. And if you look, he's had a lot of concussions in his career. So I don't know how much of that has changed since he was last playing, but that was always one big obstacle. But again, you're talking about depth here and a guy that if he can still play, and we'll see how the tryout went, certainly someone who's smart enough or you'd want to bring into camp and be there to compete.
I mean, is that something where a guy like Stoutland comes in and you turn to Stoutland and be like, hey, we know this guy has a bad tendency. Can you work it out of him? And Stoutland says yes. It's like, come on down. Your next contestant, the Price is Right.
Yeah, potentially. Some guys have fatal flaws, right? Or flaws that just don't go away. Or just don't, no matter how good the coaching is, it won't. I would imagine that anybody who's watched DJ Fluker tape saw what I saw, right? I'm a nobody. I'm sure offensive line coaches saw it and tried to correct it, and probably maybe at some points got him to do better, but it felt like something that was never going to go away. And then, of course, he had a lot of concussion issues, I believe. So, could Stoutland be the one, the offensive line whisperer? Sure. But there have been a couple of guys that Stoutland hasn't been able to help. I mean, he never got through to Womack,
right?
Who was his own protege from Alabama. So I don't know, but the point is that it makes a whole lot of sense to kick tires there.
When we think about the offensive line, obviously we're talking about right guard for a lot of this. I know that Jason Kelsey spoke very highly of Seumalo a week ago, saying how intelligent he was and all this stuff. But realistically, how concerned or not concerned should Eagle fans be about a position that, frankly, the Eagles' offensive line has been the strength of the last several years, and now there's this big question mark over right guard, because I don't think anyone can say with a certainty, right, that we know exactly who the best player is at this point.
Right. We can't say that with certainty. I think it only becomes a concern, Josh, if like we're going through camp in the preseason and you feel like whoever won the job won it because the other guys lost it. You know what I'm saying? Like you're taking the least of the few evils or anything like that. Or if all three, none of them really stand out, so you're just kind of going with one or the other based on some kind of draft status or pedigree or something that has nothing to do with how well or how not well they competed. That would be to me the only time to be concerned. But I do think that there is something to be said about the way the Eagles offense operates is Jason Kelce makes a lot of the calls. It takes the pressure off the quarterback to have to do that. It lets Jalen Hurts play freely without too much in his head. And Jason Kelce always had Isaac Seumalo, right, especially in road games, silent count, to be his co-captain. So does Jason Kelce losing his co-captain make it tougher for Jason Kelce? And therefore, does that make it tougher on Jalen Hurts? So certainly that is something we'll have to watch as the summer and then the season progress.
Jeff Mosher here on Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. And over at InsideTheBirds.com, speaking of Jalen Hurts, Jeff, you wrote about how DeAndre Hopkins did an interview. And, of course, in today's age, you got to pay attention to every little thing that these athletes say on whatever random digital show or podcast or Instagram stream, right?
Yes.
I mean, yeah. So DeAndre Hopkins gave his list of the top 5 quarterbacks he wants throwing in the ball, and he had Jalen Hurts as number 2. So should Eagle fans get excited, or was this just a guy on a podcast speaking his mind?
Yeah, I'm going to go with B, although I do appreciate, as you just said, DeAndre Hopkins giving InsideTheBirds.com some fodder on what had been a slow news day. So keep doing your thing, DeAndre, and all NFL athletes who are going on podcasts. Keep doing that. But yeah, I mean, obviously, Josh, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. DeAndre Hopkins is an outside perimeter receiver. He has been a complete master of the contested catch his entire life. So if you have DeAndre Hopkins on your team, he's playing on the outside. Well, the Eagles have 2 guys who were each, who combined for about 2,600 yards last year receiving between A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, and both of them are outside receivers. Now, those guys have the skill set and capability to move inside at times, but you don't want to turn any of them into a full-time slot receiver because that negates all the damage they can do down the field. And then on top of that, DeAndre Hopkins has a very large contract that calls for $19 million this coming year in base salary. So that's a pretty penny. And I don't think the Eagles want to put too many more money or resources in to wide receiver, considering they use first-round pick on Devontae, a first-round pick, and about 20-something million a year on A.J. Brown. And, after next year, they're going to have to look at Devontae Smith's contract and probably give him his extension. He's going to be up there for that by the end of next year. So it's a nice thought, but I just don't think – I think there are probably some other teams that can use DeAndre Hopkins a little bit more and have the financial flexibility to make it happen.
I think this thing that stands out to me more than anything is that, I know a lot of Eagle fans are like, oh, DeAndre Hopkins, but it's like, if you look at them, Hopkins and A.J. Brown are almost the exact same size, and Brown is 6 years younger than Hopkins. So it's like, what would it really make sense to get a player who basically does and is the size and is the makeup of a guy you already have, who you could argue at this point in his career may be a better player in Brown?
Yeah, they are different receivers, right? They both do. They're both contested catch type guys. Well, I think you see a ton more explosion, a lot more yards after the catch that you get in A.J. Brown, a lot more physical play, whereas DeAndre Hopkins, again, is going to be your sideline, your 9 route. He can run more routes, but he's a little bit different despite the fact that they're of the same height. But yeah, to your point, you've got young, dynamic, all pro caliber or Pro Bowl caliber weaponry there at a spot, at the X spot. You really don't need DeAndre Hopkins.
The other flip side of the coin with Hopkins is what he said is, should we be reading more into the fact that all of these players around the league keep speaking as highly about Hurts, who haven't even played with him? Like people look at, oh, AJ Brown's his best friend. Oh, him and Devonta Smith, they were at Alabama together, right? Oh, Sirianni's his coach. He wears the t-shirts everywhere. But like now we're getting these are multiple guys who are saying this guy Jalen Hurts is legit. He's a guy. He's the man. Like, should we read more into that the league looks at this guy a certain way?
It's certainly a positive, right? I mean, there are certainly, I think, quarterbacks in this league, both past and present, who have not really been the apple of wide receivers' eyes, right? I mean, there have been certain quarterbacks in this league that wide receivers who are good wanted to get away from. So it's always great when you have a quarterback who's become so good and so respected and nationally known that, yeah, you got receivers who say, I want to go, or running backs or tight ends or whoever that say, I want to go play with that guy. Because in some cases, to make that happen, guys have to take pay cuts. Guys have to, make sacrifices. You saw guys doing that to go play with Tom Brady, right? I mean, Randy Moss talks about how his career in Oakland was going downhill. And if he had to stay in Oakland, maybe he never would have had the rejuvenation that he had when he went and played with Tom Brady, So it's sure, it's quite possible that. And then, obviously Jalen has to continue to play at this high level, but it's only a positive. It can't be a negative.
Some non-direct Eagles news, but I wanted to ask you about it. Was one of the conversations offseason has been about the Eagles punter situation. Like, who is going to be the punter? Like, Jeff, I still run into people who keep asking me who the Eagles punter is going to be. Like, they're legitimately concerned. And I saw the news today that Matt Ariza, who was recently cleared of all charges, is working out for the Jets. And the first thing came to my mind is, why isn't he working out for the Eagles? You're telling me that he can't get into a punting competition with, whoever is going to be in camp at this point?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you're making a valid point. I don't know that the Eagles did everything possible they could to try to bring in a true upgrade to compete against Aaron Sipos. They definitely like Tyler Zentner. They definitely believe he can push Sipos out the door, and we'll have to see. Zentner comes from Kansas State. It's a very good special teams school. It was under Bill Snyder. It continues to be under Chris Kleiman, I believe. This kid was a good punter and also a kickoff guy and kicker. So,
that's correct. Yep.
Yeah. So he's pretty well rounded. If you're going to try to find a kid from the college ranks to come challenge Aaron Sipos, it sounds like this kid has the makings to be able to do it. But I agree with you. Maybe, again, the Eagles have more information than you and I do about the legal issues surrounding Matt Ariza. Maybe that there's something they saw there that still kind of made them reluctant, even though legally he's been cleared. Just because you're clear, like we've seen with the NFL in the Ezekiel Elliott situation, just because you're legally cleared doesn't mean you're going to be cleared by the NFL or that they don't think that you're guilty of something. So, I don't know. That's really all about the Eagles. But in general, I would agree with you to say punting was an issue last year. It reared its head in the worst moment possible, the second half of the Super Bowl. And really the only thing they did to try to upgrade it or address it was pluck a kid out of college who's good, but who's never punted in the NFL before.
Yeah, it just feels like such an unnecessary gamble, I guess I would call it, because it's, as you mentioned, it was such a glaring issue in the Super Bowl. And I felt like every week you and Adam talked about Brett Kern, about how, man, we were expecting a little more from this guy. Man, this guy's a former All-Pro, and he's come out and played like it was like an Inside the Birds podcast, like rinse and repeat conversation about Brett Kern. And then Sipos wasn't any better in the biggest game of the year. And it's like, we're going in the offseason. It's like, hey, we got a guy from Kansas State who nobody remembers his name.
Right, exactly. And it's always bad when you spend, and you know this as a sports talk radio host, if you spend more than, 5 minutes talking about a punter on a podcast, you're probably going down a bad path. But it is important. Like there's no question about it. I will say that it is a position that you can upgrade fairly easily throughout the year. Guys get cut, guys are on. I mean, they thought that they were doing that with Brett Kern, clearly, and it didn't work out. But just because that didn't work out doesn't mean it'll never work out. I'm sure there'll be opportunities, but we'll have to see how the competition between Tyler Zentner goes with Aaron Sipos.
I mean, if Aaron Sipos beats Tyler Zentner, there's something wrong with Zentner, I think, at this point. But that's a story for when we get to August.
Yes.
Couple more for Jeff Mosher here on Football on 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. NFL rule changes. I want to get your take on a couple of these. Obviously, there's the rule that people are saying it's the 49ers cried so much that they got the rule. By the way, the Phillies just tied the game. It's 5-5 now in the bottom of the 9. So maybe they won't lose this game. By the way, you want to guess who hit the homer? By the way,
I'm going to Bryce Harper would be my guess.
No, it's actually better news. It's Trey Turner.
Oh, Trey Turner? That's even better. Yes, you're right.
Yes. Awesome. After he had that horrible swing and a miss earlier in the game on a ball that was like 3 feet off the plate, he just hit a bomb to left field. So good news for the Phillies. 5-5.
Absolutely. Now they got to just score the extra run and finish this off.
Which they probably won't.
Kimbrel, his 400 save, 300 save. He's got. I think it would be. He's one away from that, right?
I think he's one away. I'll double check while we talk. But I wanted to ask you about these rule changes because I was talking with Rob Motti about this on Monday, and I was saying to him, and I want to ask you about this. This three quarterback rule doesn't ding the inactive list. So, but it dings who's actually on the roster. So like a team like the Eagles that, they love to have like that 10th offensive lineman, or a team likes to have the extra cornerback, or a guy like Belichick who loves to store random dudes on the roster, right? Like this is taking a roster spot away from somebody, even though it doesn't ding you on the inactive on game day.
How do you see it taking a roster spot away?
Well, because you got to have him on the 53. It can't be a guy coming
he can't
from
be on your
a practice squad.
I was saying I don't feel like that really does impact the Eagles as much because they've had 3 quarterbacks on the. Wasn't Ian Book on the actual 53 last year?
He was, and then I remember they were hanging on to Nate Sudfeld for dear life a few years ago.
Yeah, but it seems like this regime here likes to keep 3 quarterbacks on the active roster anyway, unless they just don't have a guy that they feel is worthy of development. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, we were wondering if they were going to have 4 because Carson Strong was with them and then they waived him, but they never actually brought him back. He was so bad, I guess, they never did bring him back to the practice squad. So they were comfortable going with 3 on the 53. So yeah, for other teams, that might be an issue that only like to keep 2 on the 53 and 1 on the practice squad. For the Eagles, not so much of a problem, at least the way they've operated lately.
Right. It's interesting to me that I still don't understand why the league doesn't just let everybody be active on game day. I think it's the dumbest thing in the world, but nobody asked me my opinion. They gave Roger Goodell his extension through 2027. And, they said, Josh, go back to the radio. So,
well, my thoughts on the whole rule change anyway. I mean, I think it's silly. I think that they changed the rules a long time ago to give you that extra spot and make it an active one, right? And then teams decided to go heavy elsewhere and not quarterback. That's their fault. They could have used that extra spot on the quarterback. And if you're down to your 3rd quarterback in a playoff game, or your emergency quarterback in a playoff game anyway, do you really think you're winning that game? I mean, do the Niners really think that they were going to win that game if they were able to bring, I don't know who the 3rd, let's say it's Nate Sudfeld, right? Even though he wasn't on the team at that point. If it's Nate Sudfeld, you think Sudfeld's winning that game? I don't really think Nate Sudfeld's winning that game. So
no, he's definitely not. The 49ers are just a bunch of sore losers, honestly.
They really have been. They have been the 49ers. No doubt. There's no doubt about it.
I mean, they are the most anti-fun team. Like, if the 49ers really cared about the fans, they would just told Christian McCaffrey to play quarterback the entire second half and not worry about it. Like, Philly fans remember watching Vince Velasquez play left field, and we've seen Cody Clemens pitch like 3 games this year. Like, come on, man. Let's have a little fun. Stop being so sour.
I'm with you, my friend.
Before I let you go, the other rule I wanted to ask you about is this fair catch at the 25-yard line feels like it's the most blatant move by the NFL to get rid of kick and punt returns they possibly can get away with at this point.
Yeah, and the funny thing is they didn't exactly deny it. I know there was a conference call with Rich McKay, the competition committee leader, and someone I think asked him, "Well, how much closer are you getting to just not having a kickoff?" And his answer was sort of like, "Well, that's not our plan, but I can't say that it's not I can't say it's never going to happen either."
Right.
But I do think though this rule, Josh, is not going to impact that much. I mean, teams are still going to try to kick the ball out of the end zone. And if you don't kick this really only impacts if you're trying a short kick, right? And a guy catches the kickoff short of the 25. But usually if that's the case, they don't want to fair catch it because they want to take advantage of the short kick and run it back. So I can't imagine that we're going to see, I've been wrong before, but I'm just trying to estimate how many kickoffs are really going to be fair catch. Probably not that many.
Probably not, but it just feels like it's just another like slap in the face to something that like how many Eagle fans used to talk about like, oh, we got Darren Sproles, he can run kicks and punts back. You know what I mean?
Right.
Now it feels like it's like a complete dimension of the game where it's being forgotten about, and then the Eagle fan is just, hoping that a fill in the blank guy might make the roster for a reason that's nothing to do with kick and punt return. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and listen, I mean, you know what? They might as well just scrap the kickoff altogether anyway and just get it over with if they're headed that direction. I don't think people are going to be all that upset. The only people that are going to be upset are special teams coordinators. So other than that, I don't think it's sort of much to do about nothing.
I mean, I guess it'd be maybe the NFLPA would be mad that it might take a roster spot away from somebody. I don't know.
Well, I mean, there aren't how many people are we talking about? Because you still have to kick field goals, and usually that's your kickoff specialist is your field goal kicker. So we're talking about maybe 5 or 6 people. I mean, the NFLPA can make that claim, but the NFL is going to literally tell you, well, that's like 0.003% of our workforce that you're fighting for here.
Well, I do want to give you credit, Jeff, that Jeff Kimbrell is in the game.
Craig Kimbrell.
Craig Kimbrell is in the game. You're Jeff Mosher.
I was thinking about that. He can't get a save, right? Because it's an extra.
But he can't get a save because it's the 10th inning. So, by the way, they also brought in JT Realmuto in a double switch. So
wow, they really want to win this game.
So we'll see if they actually win it or not. Phillies in the bottom, top of the 10th.
Already a leadoff double. Great.
Well, no, remember that's the man on second.
Oh, you know what? I thought that was going away this year. I forgot that they do that. Yeah.
It goes away in the postseason because sports.
Yeah. I would like to see that done away with in total.
He is Jeff Mosher. Give him a follow on Twitter at Jeff P. Mosher. Check out all of his work over at the InsideTheBirds.com. And of course, the Inside the Birds podcast drops each week, different episodes with Adam Kaplan and more. Like, subscribe, download, share with your friends, 5-star review, all the good stuff. Jeff, I won't talk to you again on radio until next week. Because you're off the rest of the week. So,
yeah.
But I hope you have a great Memorial Day weekend. If you do decide to travel to the shore, I hope you hit me up for some suggestions. Okay.
I promise you I will.
Take care, my friend.
Bye.
Josh Hennig, Philly for Mike Yell here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. Yeah, for those a little inside joke. So, we were having a conversation a few weeks ago, me and Mike Gill about pizza, and Jeff Mosher and I started texting about pizza off the air, and Jeff gave his opinion with Gill on the air. And I told Jeff, look, Jeff, if you want to know where the good pizza is down here in South Jersey, I can help you out. I can point you in the direction of your personal, because Jeff is a big brick oven pizza guy, and there's some amazing brick oven pizza places, especially in Cape May County. And I was telling Jeff, hey, Jeff, I can point you in the right direction. You don't need to go to the name brand or the popular places on the boardwalk that don't have the pizza that you want. I can point you in the right direction. So I had to get it in there. It's like, hey, Jeff, you're coming to the shore. Let me know. We'll get back to you guys' thoughts and comments on the text board on the other side, 609-403-0973. Don't forget everyone who texts in, like Steven Ventnor, and we have Ryan in Egg Harbor. If you leave your name, you have a chance to win a pair of tickets to go see comedian Shane Gillis at Ocean Casino Resort Of course, don't forget, text in your name and your thoughts. 609-403-0973. Phillies 5-5 tie game, top of the 10th. We'll let you know if they actually win this game or not. Coming up here on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. It's free. Thanks to First Bank of Sea Isle.
From the beach,
the beaches are open and people are having a wonderful time,
to the ballpark.
Swing and a high fly ball, left field. That one is back. Gone. Harper delivers.
We've got you covered. The Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Great. It's yours. See you then.
Nathan's Tiki-themed bar is swimming in end-of-year party bookings.
Where can I find that many servers? They want headlamps? And I'm going to need to find a band.
He needs caterers to navigate the rising tide.
No, Mario, not your cousin's cover band.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
What dealer has new Kias under 25 grand and only 2.9% financing?
Who is Matt Blatt Kia?
What dealer will pay off your trades, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth?
Who is Matt Blatt Kia?
Correct. Have a job clearing $350 per week? Matt Blatt Kia in Egg Harbor Township or Toms River wants to approve you. New 2023 Kia Forte or Soul, 0 down and just 2.9% financing for 48 months. Plus, we're overloaded with trades, low mileage, one owner trades, many with remaining factory warranty, and they must go to make room for new Kias arriving daily. Just because you don't see your new Kia on the lot doesn't mean you can't be driving it home tomorrow with our exclusive 4-day love it or leave it return policy.
It's gotta be a Matt Blatt Kia.
With approved credit, not all will qualify. $27.78 per thousand finance. Go to mattblattkia.com for complete details or 888-505-6670. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer, except for licensing, registration, and taxes. Expires 5/31/23. Matt Blatt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, and now on Route 37 in Toms River.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply or apply stopped, opt out. Go to nomoredraftywindows.com for full offer details. Attention all homeowners. Do you know when to replace your windows? Feeling too hot or cold? It's time to replace. Fog between the glass. Time to replace. Spending too much on expensive energy that literally goes out the window? It's definitely time to replace. If you've put off replacing windows in your home because it's too expensive, here's great news. You can now get a free in-home window consultation and free price quote from Renewal by Andersen, the company with the most 5-star reviews among leading full-service window replacement companies. And right now you can save $359 off every window and $887 off every door. Just text PLACE to 200-300 for your free consultation on top quality affordable windows or patio doors for $0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for a year. That's right, you don't pay a dime for an entire year. Plus save $359 off every window and $887 off every door. But hurry, these big dollar savings end this month. Text PLACE to 200-300 right now. Text the word PLACE to 200-300. Don't wait, text PLACE to 200-300.
These are emails filling your employees' inboxes, downloads beaming from device to device. And any one of them could be a cyber attack. Is it possible to keep your small business safe? It is with Comcast Business Security Edge. It helps keep your connected devices protected, and you can monitor threat activity in real time. So this security threat is the last thing you need to worry about. With Comcast Business, advanced security isn't just possible, it's happening.
Get started with fast speeds and advanced security for $39 a month for 12 months with no annual contract. Plus, ask how to get up to a $500 prepaid card with a qualifying bundle. Call or go online today to learn more. Offer ends 6/21/2023. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and automatic payments. New 50 megabits per second internet and Security Edge customers only. Equipment, taxes, and other fees extra and subject to change. After promo, regular rates apply.
With summer savings at the Home Depot, we have laundry appliances that just fit. Fit your space, fit your needs, and fit your budget. Like a new LG laundry set with 6-motion technology, using different wash motions to get clothes cleaner. And sensor dry to automatically adjust drying time, all making laundry quicker, cleaner, and easier on your clothes. Save up to 30% on select appliances, plus up to $100 off select laundry sets at the Home Depot. Pricing valid May 18th through June 7th, 2023. U.S. only. See store or online for details.
Powered by NJM. No jingles or mascots, just great insurance. This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
With South Jersey information you need to know,
I'm Vin Abneu. A Pennsylvania man was charged after police in Wildwood Crest say he discharged his firearm from his waistband while carrying bags into a motel room with a 6-year-old girl right next to him. Free Toll Friday returns to the Atlantic City Expressway. Chicky and Pete's is again picking up the toll costs at the Egg Harbor exit of the AC Expressway. And when will you have to start paying your federal student loans again? There's no exact date yet, but federal officials say it is likely this summer. Get more South Jersey information right now on our app. Your forecast is next.
Sail into summer in New Jersey, where sea breezes drift along iconic sunny shores. Stroll boardwalks or soar high on the rides. Take time out to breathe in the great outdoors. Treat yourself, shop, dine, dive into history, the arts and culture. From dazzling winning cities to charming towns in the countryside. Find it all at visitnj.org.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. A deteriorating line of showers will try to move in from the northwest this evening. Just a quick hit of wet weather possible, done by midnight at the latest. It's also going to turn a bit windy tonight as cooler, drier air filters in. Low temperature around 50. Tomorrow, breezy and cooler with lots of sun, high 65. Friday looks like a nice day, partly sunny, high 69. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
Turn your home into restricted airspace. Tell incoming flights you want them diverted. The new Raid Essentials Light Trap plugs into the wall and uses light to attract, then trap flying insects like fruit flies and mosquitoes. Its 24/7 continuous attraction provides insecticide-free protection that's people and pet friendly. Consider air service interrupted. New Raid Essentials Light Trap. Insecticide-free protection.
Now, back to the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
Josh Hennig filling for Mike Gill on a Wednesday afternoon here on 97.3 ESPN. You know, this Phillies game is getting really out of control at this point, all right? So, you know, you have this rule about the pitch clock, right? And I'm a proponent of the pitch clock rule. So I'm not the guy who's sitting here complaining about the pitch clock necessarily. I'm just telling you guys, I just saw a situation where the pitch clock rule is dumb. Not the pitch clock itself, but the way they call the rule. So in the Phillies game, Craig Kimbrell's pitching. Okay, Craig Kimbrell. Wow, easy for me to say. He's been around baseball a long time, right? But he's trying to pitch within the time on the clock. And he's trying to use the clock to speed up and slow down the hitters. And so far, he's been doing a pretty good job at it until Rojas came to the plate. And according to the letter of the law, right, as Kimbrell gets out of the beginning unscathed, we go 5-5 to the bottom of the 10th inning. Kimbrell is set to pitch. And Rojas is, quote unquote, not ready. Now, the rule is there's two separate rules. There's one rule that you got to be in the box and ready to go before 8 seconds, or you get a strike against you. There's another part of the rule that says the pitcher can't hit until the hitter is set and ready to go. Kimbrell is basically looking at the clock and not as much at the hitter. What he's saying is, I'm ready to go. I need to get this pitch off. I'm on a time. Rojas wasn't, quote unquote, ready and set to go. So Kimbrell throws the pitch. And the umpire is like, whoa, well, you know, he wasn't ready. Kimbrell's mad because he says, well, the clock was about to hit 8. Why don't you punish him? So then the manager of the Diamondbacks comes out and is arguing about it, saying, hey, my guy wasn't ready. Like, he shouldn't be punished for not being ready. The umpires are like, look, we understand. We're explaining to you why we are handling it this way. Well, when Rob Thompson finds out that Rojas is not getting dinged for the strike, Thompson comes out and he's like, look, he wasn't in the box. He's supposed to be set and ready to go in the box by a certain time. And while Thompson is arguing about this, Kimbrel starts moseying from the mound to the plate to now argue with Rojas because Rojas is in there chirping. And the umpire has to stop talking to Thompson, get in between the two players, and basically escort Kimbrel back to the mound and escort Rojas back to the plate. And then ultimately he strikes him out anyway. So absolutely insane. And this is why I said this is where the rule is problematic. It's not the pitch clock itself. It's the fact that this rule is able to be loosely interpreted by the umpires to say, well, he was in the box, but he wasn't set yet. Or, well, he had 1 foot in the box, but not both being in the box. Well, we're only going to ding you if you're completely out of the box and completely in the box. And oh my goodness, this inning is imploding on the Diamondbacks. So the Phillies had 2 runners on. And Cody Clemens comes to the plate to bunt the ball. And the Diamondbacks pitcher Ruiz literally just threw a wild pitch. It got past the catcher because basically he was trying to jam up Clemens to make him pop it out. But he threw it too far inside. The catcher wasn't ready for it. Now both runners advance a second. But back to the rule. This is where it drives you nuts about umpires, refs, officials. There can't be such a variable interpretation of a rule. It's like in the NBA. Like, does anybody really know anymore what the difference between a technical foul and a flagrant 1, a flagrant 2 is? Nobody knows anymore. Like, it's so loosely interpreted. And then they get on the headset and go to the head guy in Secaucus asking him what the ruling is. And that guy doesn't even know what the rule is. Officiating in sports has turned into the equivalent of a reality show where the people are playing roulette and hoping the little ping pong ball lands on black or red. Like, it's just absolutely ridiculous. I blame the umpire situation. They needed to be really specific about how the situation was being handled. Just what a ridiculous situation. Absolutely insane to me. All right, back to the text board, 609-403-0973. Again, if you text in your name, where you're from, with some comments on who the Sixers' next head coach should be, your thoughts on the Eagles, the Phillies, you get a chance to qualify to win tickets to go see comedian Shane Gillis at Ocean Casino Resort next month. Mike in Wildwood chimed in earlier in the show and said, my guy is Frank Vogel. He's a local favorite. He's defensive-minded. He has a championship experience, and he knows how to handle superstars. Mike in Wildwood. Well, first of all, Mike, thank you for leaving your name. I always appreciate that. Love to know who's listening to the show and where you're from. I like Vogel. I'm at the position now where I think Vogel is the best option, right? I just get a feeling when I look at Vogel that he is the guy who makes the most sense. To me, it's him and Nick Nurse. They're my top 2 guys, along with Monty Williams. Those are the 3 I like the most. I think your point about his experience dealing with superstars and winning a championship should be the 2 biggest tiers in his favor. The defensive mindset, I agree with. He's great at that. He made the Lakers into a legit defensive team. But that might be a problem for the Sixers because, Doc Rivers, when he got hired, he said he wanted to make this the number 1 defensive team in the NBA. Well, by the end of his tenure, the Sixers were more around like 12th to 15th in the NBA. So is Daryl Morey on board with building a roster that plays the defense that Frank Vogel is going to ask the players to execute? because realistically, right now, the 76ers really only have 3 players who you can consider legit defenders. It's Joel Embiid is a elite rim protector. DeAnthony Melton is one of the best, perimeter defenders in the league. And PJ Tucker is a great switchable asset on defense. Aside from those 3 guys, this roster is full of players who are either average to below average defenders in today's NBA. So if you hire a guy like Vogel, are you going to modify the roster to line up with the way he's going to call a defense? That's my only concern, Mike and Wildwood. By the way, Phillies win walk-off RBI for Alec Boehm. They loaded the bases. Boehm hit a sky blast to right field. It's just a shame he's only going to get 1 RBI out of it, basically, because that was an incredible hit that he made opposite way. He almost hit it out of the ballpark. It looked like it hit off like the front facing of the wall, basically. So, but Phillies get off the losing snide. Walk-off win for Alec Boehm and the Phils as they beat the Diamondbacks in 10 innings. Hey, listen, I got to give them credit. I was all doom and gloom for most of this game, and all of a sudden they find a way to come from behind down 5 runs. And how about Trey Turner? Trey Turner looked horrible earlier in the game with that swing and a miss on a pitch that was about a few feet off the plate. And then he hits a big 2-run home run to tie the game and send it into extras. So, great job by the Phils to fight back, figure out a way to get it done. So Phillies win, bottom of the 10th, walk off by Alec Boehm. But back to the text board, 609-403-0973. Anonymous chimed in, didn't leave their name, but they said getting rid of Maxey would be a big mistake. They already did this big mistake by trading away Drew Holiday. Texter, I hear what you're saying, but I don't think it's an apples to apples comparison. And here's why. Drew Holiday, when the Sixers traded him, looked like a guy who had some specific limitations in what his potential would be. Because when you traded him, he was the same age as Tyrese Maxey now. So maybe that's where you're looking at saying, hey, Holiday was 22, turning 23. Maxey's 22. Same thing. The difference, though, was that Holiday was an all-star player on a team where he probably was the best player on the team. So he was putting up stats that made him look greater than he was, because when he was scoring almost 18 points a game, I think he had like 8 assists a game that season, and he was putting up all those stats, he was doing it on a team where if he didn't put up those numbers, the team would not have success. Because you look at him later in his career in New Orleans, the next time he had a big scoring season, it was on a team where Anthony Davis didn't even play a majority of the season. And so he had to put up those numbers. So I think Holiday, his greatest strength is that he was a well-rounded player. I think Holiday, I agree, was a mistake of trading him because he was a guy who was a potential triple-double machine for a while in his career with the points and the assists and him being an underrated rebounder. The problem is that I think the difference between Holiday and Maxey is I think Maxey is a more ideal fit for today's NBA in terms of his scoring. And I think that the reason why, for me, I'm against Maxey being moved, well, Holiday was a high-level defender and an underrated passer and distributor. And I think you've seen when the Bucks won the championship, he was a huge part of their success in winning that championship because of his ability to complement Giannis. I think what makes Maxey so important not to trade away is even though he's not a really good defender, because Maxey's not a good defender. Maxey is an average to, I mean, maybe his potential is to be an above average defender. And the other thing is Holiday is like 6'3", 200 pounds. I mean, is Tyrese Maxey even around 200 pounds? I think he might be like more like 180, honestly. You know, Maxey is a smaller player than Holiday. So Holiday, his defense is more based on athleticism and size and length. Whereas Maxey, if he becomes a better defender, it's because he learns how to use his lateral quickness better. You know, so I don't know if Maxey will ever be the defensive player or the assist man that Holiday is. I think Holiday is the better point guard and the better defender than Maxey is. But what Maxey is better than Holiday in is that Maxey has the potential to be a guy who's going to average a lot of points a game. Like he's already averaging 20 points a game this past year on a team that had the guy that led the NBA in scoring in Joel Embiid, and that had a guy who pounded the ball into the hardwood and almost didn't pass the ball for half the possessions like James Harden. And he still got 20 a game. I think Maxey's potential is to be a higher level scorer than Holiday. And the difference between Holiday and Maxey is Holiday was traded because the Sixers made the decision that they were going to do a hard reset on the roster and that they didn't want anybody on the team good enough to keep them from getting a top draft pick. Maxey, you need him to be the future scorer because 5-6 years from now, when Joel Embiid can no longer be the leading scorer in the NBA and he's not going to be able to be the offensive juggernaut that he is today, you need Maxey to go out and score 25, 28, 30 points a game. And I think Maxey is more than capable of becoming that player. So he might not give you the defense that Holiday did. He might not be the well-rounded player that Holiday is, but I think that he's a more electric scorer. And I think that is part of the reason why he is much more needed to be kept. Somebody texted in and says, will Nate McMillan get any interviews this offseason? Dude, let me tell you something about Nate McMillan. I have such fatigue about Nate McMillan, okay? I feel like he's another one of these coaches that just kept getting jobs. And I don't even know if he's a bad coach or not, but I feel like he's run his course in the league. I mean, this is a guy who got his first coaching job because he was a former Seattle Supersonic. And in Seattle, he was a good coach, but he wasn't a great coach. Then he got the Portland job, and I felt like he had that job for way too long, and they basically begrudgingly let him leave. He should have never got the Indiana job over Vogel. That was a desperate move by the Pacers to try to, get them past the conference finals while ignoring the fact that the conference finals, the gatekeeper was LeBron James, which is a huge part of the conversation, which was ignored in Indiana. And then he went to Atlanta, turned them around for basically 1.5 seasons, and then lost the locker room altogether to the point where there are now rumors that Trae Young is even going to be in Atlanta anymore. So, yeah. Nate McMillan, I'm out on him ever getting a job ever again. All right, coming up, we'll wrap up this hour of the Sports Bash here on 97.3 ESPN. And then coming up next hour, we'll get more of your text messages on the other side, 609-403-0973. Phillies win. Sixers looking for a head coach. Eagles worked out DJ Fluker. We'll get into all that and more still to come here on 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank. See, and don't forget your chance to win tickets to go see comedian Shane Gillis at Ocean Casino Resort. Text in, leave your name. We read your text. You're in the contest. You're in. Just like Steven Ventnor, just like Mike in Wildwood, just like Danny HT. You're all in for the contest. Final hour of the Sports Bash coming up next. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on a Hump Day Wednesday on 97.3 ESPN.
When you hear this,
They've got him again.
and this,
He scored.
and this,
Oh boy, what a move by Embiid.
you think of us. We are sports. 97.3 ESPN.
0 down, 0% financing, and $7,000 off MSRP on every clearly marked Matt Blatt Nissan in stock.
Oh, yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
Stuck in a loan or lease? AJ the Trademan can get you released, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth, with 0 down and 0% financing on every Nissan Rogue for 36 months, even 0% for 60 months, plus $7,000 off MSRP on every Nissan Titan in stock. And don't forget, AJ the Trademan will get you more for your trade, so you can drive a brand new Nissan. And of course, the Matt Blatt Nissan Peace of Mind 4-day love it or leave it return policy, only at MattBlattNissan.com. On approved Tier 1 credit through NEMAC. Negative equity will be refinanced into new vehicle plus tax tag and $589 doc fee. Offers can't be combined. Call 877-289-6670 or go to MattBlattNissan.com for complete details. Offer ends 6/3/2023. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
Kickstart summer savings now at the Home Depot. Get the yard in top shape for another season of doing with a Ryobi walk-behind mower for $349 only at the Home Depot. Featuring 40-volt battery compatibility for gas-like power to get the whole lawn looking fresh in just one charge. Plus, the 3-in-1 mowing function provides mulching, bagging, and side discharge capabilities right out of the box. Make your summer yard shine. Shop Ryobi walk-behind mowers for just $349 at the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Great. It's yours. See you then.
Nathan's Tiki-themed bar is swimming in end-of-year party bookings.
Where can I find that many servers? They want headlamps? And I'm going to need to find a band.
He needs caterers to navigate the rising tide.
No, Mario, not your cousin's cover band.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop, opt out. Go to nomoredraftywindows.com for full offer details. Attention all homeowners. Do you know when to replace your windows? Feeling too hot or cold? It's time to replace. Fog between the glass. Time to replace. Spending too much on expensive energy that literally goes out the window? It's definitely time to replace. If you've put off replacing windows in your home because it's too expensive, here's great news. You can now get a free in-home window consultation and free price quote from Renewal by Andersen, the company with the most 5-star reviews among leading full-service window replacement companies. And right now you can save $359 off every window and $887 off every door. Just text PLACE to 200-300 for your free consultation on top quality affordable windows or patio doors for $0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for a year. That's right, you don't pay a dime for an entire year. Plus save $359 off every window and $887 off every door. But hurry, these big dollar savings end this month. Text PLACE to 200-300 right now. Text the word PLACE to 200-300. Don't wait. Text PLACE to 200-300.
Do you love a good cigar almost as much as your family? Well, maybe that's an exaggeration, but you can find that perfect cigar at Smoker's Haven. With 5 New Jersey locations, Smoker's Haven has the finest selection of cigars in the area, like Ashton, My Father's, Romeo and Julieta, Monte Cristo, and more. All from the finest tobacco leaves and hand-rolled by the world's finest cigar makers. All locations are fully open. Stop in and let them help you find the perfect cigar to pair with your life. See all they have and their locations at smokershavennj.com.
Dr. Rick here, with another telltale sign you're turning into your parents, getting particular about your drive-thru order.
Don't pull away yet. I like to check the bag because one time they forgot to give me extra ketchup.
People are waiting.
I'm only seeing 4 nuggets. Wait, nope, there's 5.
Progressive can't help you from becoming your parents, but we can help you compare rates on home insurance with Home Quote Explorer. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Next up, straight talk from Doug. Ever notice that saying no offense is offensive? Like, no offense, but you're overpaying for your wireless. See? Offensive.
That's the Straight Talk talking. Get unlimited plans as low as $35 a month from Straight Talk on America's most reliable 5G network. Available at Walmart and Walmart.com. On the $35 plan, first 10 gigabytes data at high speed, then 2G speeds. Refer to the latest terms at straighttalk.com based on most first place rankings, root metrics, second half 2022 assessments of 125 metros. Experiences vary, not an endorsement.
At Ocean First Bank, our first thought is you. We put you first in all we do. Community banking for a century. We treat you like your family. Whatever you need, whatever you dream, let's make it a reality. Ocean First Bank, putting you first.
Yes, 5.05% APY. For a limited time, when you open a 13-month CD with at least $10,000 of new money to Ocean First, you can earn this great return. Don't delay. Visit oceanfirst.com for complete details and to open online.
Whatever you need, whatever you dream, let's make it a reality. Ocean First Bank, putting you first.
Certain rules and restrictions apply. Member FDIC.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. You're driving along and some nimrod cuts you off. You hit the horn. Jeez, it sounds like a goose in distress. Time to head over to eBay Motors. They have horns for every make and model, not to mention horn pads, steering wheels, wiring, and more. 122 million parts. You can even go for an upgrade. Looks like Mr. Cutoff Man needs a new seat cover. Try eBay Motors, pal. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors. Let's ride.
The Dell Technologies Summer Sale event is on with limited quantity deals on top tech. Save on select PCs powered by the latest Intel Core processors like Thin and Light XPS 13 laptops, Inspiron laptops, and 2-in-1s. Plus, get savings on select accessories, free shipping, and monthly payment options with Dell Preferred Account. It's the perfect season to power your passions during Dell's Summer Sale event. Save today by calling 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL. Offered to U.S. residents by WebBank, who determines qualifications for and terms of credit.
Kickstarting your summer at the Home Depot is all about three things: saving, doing, and mulching. Make the most of our summer savings at the Home Depot now by getting 5 bags of Vigoro Premium Wood Mulch for just $10. Use it to make your garden pop and retain optimal soil moisture. And if you don't know how much you need, make use of the mulch calculator on our app. Summer savings means summer doing and mulching with Vigoro Mulch at 5 for $10 at the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Texting enrolls you in recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Leaving for the gym so early?
I'm ready to go.
Since you started taking Nugenix Total T, you've been acting like when we met in our 20s.
I feel like myself again. Lower testosterone after turning 40 slowed me down. Nugenix Total T has been a game changer for me.
What is it about Nugenix Total T that's different?
Well, it's a patented key ingredient called testofen. It boosts free and total testosterone to help you get back the drive and energy from your youth. It's backed by 5 clinical studies.
I've seen the huge difference it's made for you in the gym, at work, and in the bedroom.
I'm so glad I sent them a text for my complimentary bottle. Text ROCK to 321321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. Nugenix is the #1 selling testosterone boosting brand at GNC and Walmart. Do it now, and we'll also send you a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, our newest, most powerful fat burner ever. Absolutely free. Text ROCK to 321321. That's ROCK to 321321.
Staples has everything your business needs all in one place. Shipping supplies and services, so you can fill orders from all over in one stop. Plus, professional print and marketing services at your fingertips. And now, during Staples Small Business Deal Days, when rewards members spend $100 or more, they get $20 back in rewards plus another $10 back with the Staples Connect app. And you'll find new deals in store every week on tech, chairs, and shipping supplies. Get everything for your business for less at Staples. Rewards offer ends 5/27. Limit 1. Redeemable in-store only.
With GMF financing, qualified buyers excludes Corvette.
At Bennett Chevrolet, we're selling new Chevys at real GM supplier employee prices and not 1 cent more. And you keep all the rebates. Not some. I said you keep all the rebates. Up to $8,000 right now during our Memorial Day Super Sale. Some dealers think they can imitate Bennett by giving you a discount, but they keep part or all the rebates. Bennett Chevy gives you both the real deal GM supplier employee price plus all the rebates. Up to $8,000 during our Memorial Day Super Sale. And there's available 1.9% financing. Looking for used? Bennett will pay you a minimum $10,000 for any clunker, junker, or whatever you can drag to our lot towards any pre-owned in stock. That's at least 10. not how much you spend. You've got to come experience the difference. Find new roads at Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
Sports is what we do.
You're in your car, you're in your house, you're wherever you are. You're a sports fan.
97.3 ESPN.
Because if you weren't a sports fan, you wouldn't be listening.
WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City, a town square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. Now, live inside the Matt Black Kia Studios, here's Mike Gill.
Josh Hennig filling for Mike Gill on Hump Day Wednesday here on 97.3 ESPN FM. Don't forget the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. It's free thanks to First Bank of Seattle. Phillies win today. They end the 2-game losing streak, 6-5, bottom of the 10th, walk-off win. Alec Bohm gets the credit for the walk-off win. But Trey Turner's the key there. Trey Turner's been struggling mightily, and he hit a blast for left field to send that game into extra inning. So I think we got to look at this a little differently. I think there's a strong possibility this may have been the slump buster that was really needed all along. Also, we've been asking throughout the show. We have the Twitter poll up at 973 ESPN. I asked you guys in the 2 o'clock hour about Nick Nurse. Those who didn't see the news came out that Nick Nurse is a finalist now for the Phoenix job and for the Milwaukee job. So I asked you guys the question, do the Sixers need to jump on us? Do they just need to hire the guy and get it over with? Or do they need to finish their, for lack of a better term, process in interviewing all the candidates? Well, so far, the poll results at 973 ESPN, 56% say hire Nurse ASAP. 29% say interview all the candidates, and 14% say forget about them. And my question about the people who say forget about it, I've been asking on the text board throughout the show at 609-403-0973, who would you hire instead of Nick Nurse? And we got some interesting answers throughout the show. Don't forget everybody who texted in their name and their thoughts or whatever is on your mind. You get an opportunity to qualify to win tickets to go see Shane Gillis at Ocean Casino, Atlantic City. Before Mike Gill left, he turned to me and said, "Hey, Josh, I got tickets. You can give them away this week to the listeners. We got extra tickets to go see Shane Gillis in Atlantic City. So, you won on Happy Hour Friday, last Friday. Well, we got some more to give away today, tomorrow, and Friday right here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. So my question is, who do you hire if you don't hire Nick Nurse? And also, I would love to know why Nick Nurse? Why do we have to hire Nick? Again, we heard the comment earlier today by Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City, who said it doesn't matter who you hire. What matters is the roster, building a better roster around Embiid and Harden. And then you heard Keith Smith, who covers the NBA full time, say, look, they're all really good candidates. You really can't go wrong with any of them. But here's my position on Nick Nurse. I said this in the 2 o'clock hour. I want to reiterate it again here. For those of you driving home from work, thank you for joining us on a Hump Day Wednesday here on 97.3 ESPN. Mike Gill has the day off. I look at Nick Nurse and I see two sides of a coin. I see a coach who did a really good job at putting Kawhi and the Raptors in a position to win a championship. That team really only got challenged by the Sixers that entire playoff run. And I know some of you are saying, well, the Warriors were injured, Durant, Klay Thompson. Yeah, but before Durant and Klay Thompson got injured, the Raptors looked like a juggernaut because that was a Raptors team with Kawhi and Kyle Lowry and Pascal Siakam and Serge Ibaka. I mean, it looked like a just such a well-rounded team, and they were executing at such a high level. And then when Kawhi left, he helped make Pascal Siakam grow from this this player who I think a lot of people took for granted into an all-star. You know, when Siakam was on the team that won the championship, he was a good player. But then when Kawhi left, he became a perennial all-star type player who averages around 22 to 24 points a game. You know, over the last several years, he averages almost 8 rebounds a game. And defensively, he's really good because he's a very versatile, switchable defender. So you look at Siakam, you look at Van Vliet, you look at that team and you say, Nick Nurse knows how to take guys and help push them to the next level. The negative against Nick Nurse, I think, is the biggest problem for the Sixers, which is if Daryl Morey tries to run it back, is Nick Nurse's style of coaching going to work for this team? You know, Nick Nurse was criticized for playing his players too many minutes in Toronto, that he was so, anti-load management, basically, that the reason why Siakam has never played in 72 games since the 2018-19 season is because he's leading the league in minutes played per game, and his coach is basically running him into the ground. I mean, you look at just last year when the team was a 500 team. You look at their main guys. Siakam's averaging 37 minutes a game. Van Vliet's averaging 36 minutes a game. OG Anunoby is averaging 35 minutes a game. Scotty Barnes, 34. Gary Trent, 32. Once you get past the starting five, there's a huge drop-off in minutes. And so the question is, can Joel Embiid, and if you keep Harden, a guy like James Harden, can you play those guys that number of minutes consistently and their bodies not break down? I think that's the big question with Nurse. I think it is his style of coaching and the kind of rotations that he likes to run, is that doable in today's NBA? Can you play your starters that surplus of minutes a game and get a winning team out of it? And it's not just last year. He does this every year. Van Vliet the year before was averaging almost 38 minutes a game. Siakam also averaged about 38 minutes a game the year before. He plays his guys a lot of minutes. And he doesn't give the bench a lot of time on the court outside of the starting five. So is that a winning formula to play guys until they break down? Or do you need to give guys some rest? You could argue that LeBron James, he ran out of steam a little bit in the postseason because he was playing so many minutes. I don't know. I don't know if Nick Nurse is the right style of coach for the Sixers in terms of that. The other stuff I love. Over on the text board at 609-403-0973. Matt and Kate May chimes in and says, hire Monty Williams. Let Harden walk. Unload Harris's contract. Bring in the number 2 to go with Embiid. I would try to get Lillard. That's from Matt and Kate May. Well, Matt, there's a lot of things there. First of all, I like your idea of hiring Monty Williams. I think Monty Williams would be good for this organization. I think that he is the kind of coach who seems to typically have a good relationship with the players. Really the only guy he had a problem with in Phoenix was Andre Ayton. I feel like Andre Ayton is just a malcontent at this point. Ayton seems like the guy who thinks he's better than he is, and he blames the coach for him not being better, basically. So maybe DeAndre Ayton would like to hang out with some Sixer fans, but I think Monty Williams overall is a very good coach. And I think that him already playing in Philadelphia and coached as an assistant in Philly, I think he knows the environment. He knows what he's walking into. And he's a leader of men who connected with Chris Paul and Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. That's a huge part of the job, is it not? A huge part of the job is being able to connect with the players. Now, if you want to have a demerit against him, is he's been to one NBA Finals and he lost to Giannis and the Bucks. And before he got to Phoenix, he didn't really have a lot of success at all. When he was in New Orleans, he had 2 playoff appearances and he couldn't get out of the first round, basically. So, is Monty Williams the guy that was in New Orleans, or is he the guy that was in Phoenix? Is he the guy who went to Phoenix and turned around a dumpster fire culture and turned them into a perennial contender in the postseason year after year? Or is he the guy that was in New Orleans, who basically couldn't get the playoffs half time? I tend to think he's more the Phoenix guy than the New Orleans guy, because the New Orleans franchise was a dumpster fire for a few years there. His last year, they went to the playoffs. Now, they lost in the first round, and it was a huge reason why he got fired. But he also lost to the Warriors. And we're seeing now, hindsight being 2020, that you lost to the Warriors, who went on to win a championship that year. So you lost to the best team in basketball, and you let the guy walk on a team that had a 21-year-old Anthony Davis and a 24-year-old Drew Holiday. I tend to think Monty Williams is a good coach. I like the suggestion there from Matt and K. May. He also says, let Harden walk. I do agree with you on that. Unload Harris's contract. I think it's very doable. I have said before that I think, and I know that James sent the DM in about, trading Harris and Springer for Siakam. That was my idea. I think it was last week I brought that up. So I'm totally on board with, if you can trade Tobias and get a guy like Siakam, I'm totally on board with it. I think it's a doable trade because both players are on expiring contracts and making the same amount of money. So why not? So I think Harris is a tradable asset. Matt and Kate May and James on the DMs on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Try to get Lillard, though. I think that is where the line of demarcation is, Matt and Kate May, because the problem with Lillard is that what does Portland want for him? It takes 2 to tango. We can all sit here and say, I love to have this guy, I love to have that guy. Like you heard earlier in the show, is it Dame Lillard? Is it Kyrie Irving? Is it Zach LaVine? Is it Trae Young? Like, who is it? Who's the guy you can go out and acquire? Well, Lillard is the popular name right now. I think most Sixer fans would say, give me anybody but Harden. But I don't think Morey is going to go into the offseason with that mentality. There were people who were trying to get rid of Ben Simmons for a bag of basketballs. It's just illogical. The problem with Portland is that if they trade Lillard, they're basically telling their fans we're hitting the reset button, and they got to get a certain amount of return on investment for him. Same thing with Trae Young. Same thing with Zach LaVine. What are you trading for these guys? I think that's the problem, because Tobias Harris's contract matches all these guys, but his talent and his ability is a very huge gap. It's a huge drop-off. So what can you trade to get Lillard? That's where the Maxey conversation is. Are you willing to give up on a Maxey to get a Trae Young, Dame Lillard, Zach LaVine kind of player? I wouldn't do it, because I think Maxey will eventually be that kind of player. So you're giving up a player who could be that guy to try to win sooner than later. It just feels like a bad plan for me, at least. So interesting thoughts by Matt and Kate May. Andrew Summers Point says Jay Wright would be the coach for the Sixers. Not a candidate. Larry Brown, and I'm seeing another text from Jeff in Ocean City. It says Jay Wright. The problem with Jay Wright is he's not a candidate. There's no reporting, no credible information out there that, unless I miss something, that Jay Wright's a candidate for this job. So you guys can keep saying Jay Wright. I mean, even Larry Brown went on John Clark's podcast and said Jay Wright. Jay Wright's not a candidate. From everything I've heard and read, Jay Wright is very happy in his post Villanova life. He gets to basically do whatever he wants. He gets to, he gets to live his best life, basically. He gets to go and be an analyst during the NCAA tournament. He doesn't have to work all year long. He doesn't have to deal with the players all year. I don't know. I don't know what the point of that would be. Jay Wright, he has no reason to coach Sixers except for if he wants the job, he could have it. So I'm moving on from Jay Wright. He's not even a candidate for the job. Anonymous text message says, move Embiid while he still has value. He's a good player for a city with no real championship aspirations. A player that draws some fans but can't play in the playoffs. That's from an anonymous texter. I'm sorry I didn't put your name on it. I would have loved to address this a little further than to say, unless you're getting a player as good, if not better than Embiid, then no, don't trade him. First of all, you mentioned Orlando in the text, anonymous texter. Who in Orlando are you trading for Joel Embiid? Portland, do you think Dame Lillard at his age is an MVP caliber player? I mean, when was the last time Lillard was even in the NBA MVP vote? I mean, I got to double check real quick, but I don't. I mean, the last time he was all NBA, first team is 2017-18. He was all NBA third team this past year, all NBA second team the year before. The last time he had MVP shares was the 2021 season when he finished 7th in the voting. So, I mean, you could make an argument that Lillard is no longer in his peak. You really want to trade a guy like Lillard for Embiid? I don't think it's a good trade at all. Unless you're getting another MVP caliber player, then you can't trade Embiid. If you are telling me that you are getting Devin Booker in a trade for Embiid, or I don't know, Luka. I mean, that's the kind of player you're talking about if you're trading for Embiid. I'm not trading him just because he has value. Look, my proposal is you go in to win a championship right here, right now. And after you make that chase, then you trade Embiid next year. I'm not trading Embiid. Not right now. I want to give this team one more chance with Embiid, with a new coach. Let Harden go. It's the Iverson idea. You play Jerry Stackhouse, Keith Van Horn, Larry Hughes, Chris Webber, Glenn Robinson. You play all these guys with Allen Iverson. Give Embiid at least another guy to play with. All he's ever had is Simmons, Butler, and Harden. He hasn't played. Give him at least one more guy. I don't know who that guy is. All right, coming up next, 97.3 ESPN.com sports columnist Dave Weinberg. He usually joins me on game night, which is not be heard this week because I'm filling in for Mike Gill the next couple of days. But Weinberg is joining me coming up next. We'll talk about the Phillies win. We'll talk about his thoughts on DJ Fluker as a addition for the Eagles offensive line depth. I know Dave is also a very adamant believer in Frank Vogel to be the Sixers head coach. All that more coming up next. Keep the kicks coming. I see you, Matt in Delaware. We'll get to your messages a little bit later this hour. 609-403-0973 for your chance to win tickets to go see Shane Gilgeous, the comedian show in Ocean Casino Resort, Atlantic City.
We have the perfect remedy for sitting in traffic. The Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Don't miss Andrew Schulz live at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City, Saturday, July 29th. Tickets on sale this Thursday at 10 a.m. at theoceanac.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Thinking about gas mileage. You know, changing your oil with a full synthetic oil like Valvoline Advanced can help your engine get more miles. Right now, buy a 5-quart jug and get a free STP Extended Life Oil Filter. That's right, free. Get started on your next job today with the parts you need, when you need them, at AutoZone or AutoZone.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
You like to move it.
At the United States Postal Service, we're reinventing our network to help keep your business moving. With new shipping options to deliver better value, greater flexibility to conveniently reach your customers, more confident shipping with new informed delivery features, and new electric vehicles for a cleaner, brighter future. Fast, reliable, perfectly orchestrated. The United States Postal Service, delivering for America. Learn more at USPS.com/moving forward.
What dealer has new Kias under 25 grand and only 2.9% financing?
Who is Matt Black Kia?
What dealer will pay off your trade, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth?
Who is Matt Black Kia?
Correct. Have a job clearing $350 per week? Matt Black Kia in Egg Harbor Township or Toms River wants to approve you. New 2023 Kia Forte or Soul, 0 down and just 2.9% financing for 48 months. Plus, we're overloaded with trades, low mileage, one owner trades, many with remaining factory warranty, and they must go to make room for new Kias arriving daily. Just because you don't see your new Kia on the lot doesn't mean you can't be driving it home tomorrow with our exclusive 4-day love it or leave it return policy.
It's gotta be a Matt Black Kia.
With approved credit, not all will qualify. $27.78 per thousand finance. Go to mattblackkia.com for complete details or 888-505-6670. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer, except for licensing, registration, and taxes. Expires 5/31/23. Matt Black Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, and now on Route 37 in Toms River.
Kickstarting your summer at the Home Depot is all about 3 things: saving, doing, and mulching. Make the most of our summer savings at the Home Depot now by getting 5 bags of Vigoro Premium Wood Mulch for just $10. Use it to make your garden pop and retain optimal soil moisture. And if you don't know how much you need, make use of the mulch calculator on our app. Summer savings means summer doing and mulching with Vigoro Mulch at 5 for $10 at the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Meet Joe A, Joe B, and Joe C.
What's up?
3 everyday Joes perfecting their banking with Chase. Joe A is locking his lost debit card with the Chase mobile app. Joe B is cruising toward his new ride with AutoSave. And Joe C's Chase banker is helping him budget to go back to school. Tools that help protect. Support for what's next. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase. Make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Messaging and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank and a member FDIC.
Powered by the all-new BetParks New Jersey Casino and Sportsbook app. BetParks.com. This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
With South Jersey information you need to know, I'm Vin Abenu. A Pennsylvania man was charged after police in Wildwood Crest say he discharged his firearm from his waistband while carrying bags into a motel room with a 6-year-old girl right next to him. Free Toll Friday returns to the Atlantic City Expressway. Chicky and Pete's is again picking up the toll costs at the Egg Harbor exit of the AC Expressway. And when will you have to start paying your federal student loans again? There's no exact date yet, but federal officials say it is likely this summer. Get more South Jersey information right now on our app. Your forecast is next.
An online housing resource is now available for NJ residents to assist in preventing eviction. Go to housinghelpnj.org or call 888-691-3002 to be connected to a certified housing counselor for free housing counseling services and information.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. A deteriorating line of showers will try to move in from the northwest this evening. Just a quick hit of wet weather possible, done by midnight at the latest. It's also going to turn a bit windy tonight as cooler, drier air filters into South Jersey. Low temperature around 50. Tomorrow, breezy and cooler with lots of sun, high 65. Friday looks like a nice day, partly sunny, high 69. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
Sail into summer in New Jersey. Stroll boardwalks or soar high on the rides. Enjoy iconic shores, history, and culture, from dazzling cities to charming countryside. Find it all at visitnj.org.
Now,
Back to the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
Josh Philly for Mike Gill here on 97.3 ESPN, hanging out with you until 6 o'clock tonight. Don't forget, there's no game night tonight. It is just the best of the Sports Bash next couple days. I'll be filling in for Mike Gill. We'll be checking in with Dave Weinberg for a Weinberg Wednesday in just a moment. I'll check in on your guys' messages. A ton of messages coming in over on the text board at 609-403-0973. You also can DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. A lot of people chiming in on the situation with the Sixers. Like Alvin in Wildwood says they should sign Kyrie to replace Harden. Alvin, I don't know if you saw what Kyrie Irving said, but Kyrie Irving is basically went out of his way today to tell the world that don't believe what anyone says about me, and I'll let you know what I'm doing when I'm doing it. So read into that what you will. I think the problem is that Kyrie, I mean, does Philadelphia really have the patience for a guy? And we'll ask Dave Weinberg this in just a moment. As a general principle, the Sixer fan says that they want to win a championship. But are you willing to win a championship if you acquire a guy who basically might not even show up for half the season, but will be there for every postseason game, giving his 110%? Well, that's Dave Weinberg. His thoughts on a Weinberg Wednesday here on 97.3 ESPN. Dave, welcome in. I saw you got some golf in today. I'm sure you're doing good.
I did. Yep, I lucked out today. How are you, Josh?
I'm doing good. Yeah, apparently the rain forecast has changed about 5 times in the last 48 hours. Now apparently it might rain tomorrow morning instead of Friday night. I don't know. I've given up at this point.
Yeah, I just look out the window.
So Dave, you're someone who's covered sports in this area a long time. You're very well aware of how the Philadelphia sports fan thinks.
Yep.
Obviously, most people don't want Harden back under any circumstances. But if you replace him with a guy who is not going to give you the regular season production, but is going to give you the postseason deep run, do you think the Philly fan would put up with that?
No, I don't think so. I think you want effort all the time, not just when you feel like it, not just when the playoffs roll around. And if you don't have him for half the season or whatever, there's no guarantee that you're even going to get to where you want to go. So I would take a pass on Kyrie Irving, to be honest with you.
It's just so weird with that guy because that guy, every time he's in the postseason, he gives you incredible production.
Mm-hmm.
But so he's the opposite of Harden. He doesn't give you the great regular season, but he gives you the postseason production consistently. And it's like, some people are saying get rid of Harden at all costs, but my question is, replacing him is just as important. Like when you and I talked last week about Frank Vogel, we're not just saying hire Frank Vogel because he's from WoW. We're saying hire Frank Vogel because, look at his resume.
Right. Yeah. I'm not so quick to give up on James Harden. I know he disappointed a lot of people, but I still think he's better than anything you've got to replace him with so far anyway. And with regard to Frank Vogel, as we talked about last week, I saw a lot of people coming down on him on Twitter today, and I don't get why. He won a title, albeit it was in the bubble, but so what? It's still a title. And I'd argue that it might be even more difficult to do it that way. I don't know. And as you said, you got the Pacers to the Eastern Conference Finals twice, losing to LeBron. And more importantly, he knows how to deal with egos. He knows how to deal with superstars, having coached LeBron. So, I think he's a pretty good fit. And from being from the area as a bonus, I mean, he knows the culture. He knows the personality. He knows what it takes. He's not going to get fazed by talk radio fans booing him or what have you. I think he's a really good fit. I don't know why people are so down on him.
I think people are down on him, Dave, because of the fact that I think that they look at Vogel and they don't appreciate what he did. Like you said, he lost a 7-game series to LeBron with the Pacers. You could argue the Pacers have been a nothing burger since Vogel left. And he was given a horrible team in Orlando, so of course he wasn't going to win. And then he goes to the Lakers, and guess what? He's gotten them further than anybody has since Phil Jackson, bubble or not. So I think that people don't appreciate what he has done because I think they've been given this narrative that he's, quote unquote, just a guy.
Oh, like, why is that? I mean, what is it? What do they have against him? I don't quite understand it.
Well, I think some people look at Vogel and say that he is the guy who coaches to the level of his talent. And I think the problem with that narrative is, at least for me, name me a coach who won with a bad team. Like, no coach has ever won with a bad roster.
Right, right. I mean, you can only go as far as your talent's going to take you. That's especially in basketball. I mean, that's just, you can't take a team of scrubs and get to the conference finals or to the finals. I mean, it just doesn't happen that way.
Yeah, I mean, even the Miami Heat have Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. I mean, they're two high caliber players.
Absolutely.
Dave, I don't know if you got a chance to see it because you were golfing, but the Phillies actually won a game today.
Woohoo! How about that? No, I missed that.
Yeah, so I've been keeping people updated throughout the show. Those who might be just tuning in the 5 o'clock hour, Phillies were losing 5-0. I had already chalked it up as a loss, and I was, asking everybody about, doom and gloom. And then all of a sudden, Trey Turner hits a 2-run bomb to left field. They go to extra innings, and then guess what? Alec Boehm, hits the game-winning RBI, and the Phillies get off the losing snide. So, are you excited that Trey Turner is actually hitting again?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's taken them a while, but yeah. I mean, like, as we've talked about before, the World Baseball Classic, I think, set him back a little bit. Took him a little while to get his feet under him and get his bearings, but yeah, I mean, the sooner he starts hitting, the better off they're going to be. That's for sure. I mean, that's why they brought him in here, right?
Well, I mean, at least I hope that's why they brought him in here. I hope they just bring him in here because he's Bryce Harper's buddy. But I think the question about the Phillies is, how far down the hole can you allow a team to fall before they bounce back? Like, I feel like that's where the Philly fan and different people are saying, how far along can they go before they can turn it around completely?
Yeah, that's the $1 million question, isn't it? You can't afford to go too much further down, I don't think. Granted, there's a heck of a lot of baseball left to play, and everybody talks about, it's just a marathon, not a sprint. But if you struggle in those first 5 miles of the marathon, you're not going to get to the finish line. So I think they have the talent and the ability to turn it around. They showed it last year, but there's something about this team. I just don't trust them. I don't know what it is. I mean, it just doesn't seem like the same vibe, the same chemistry that they had last year. I don't know why, but I'm just not sure they're going to be able to turn it around, Josh.
So you're already having doubts about the Phillies.
Oh yeah. Yep, I am. How about you?
I think it's still a little early. I'm not ready to sign off on it. In part because I don't think Dombrowski is going to sit on his hands and not make a move.
Okay. All right.
And I don't know what that move is. I don't know. I mean, is it pitching? Is it first base? I mean, Derek Hall got moved to the 60-day injured list. So, I mean, do you eventually start playing Harper at first and then go get somebody else to hit? I mean, I don't know I'm at this point, I'm kind of leaning on the fact that I think they need another pitcher. I think that's where they got to focus on more so than the hitting.
Yeah, I'm with you there too. Yeah, I think pitching is their not weak spot, but not as strong as they're hitting at the moment. That's for sure.
I mean, I know Philly fans are losing their mind because Kyle Gibson's now with the Baltimore Orioles and he's pitching way better than he ever pitched here. So it's like, you know how that goes, Dave.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're always better when you leave.
Yeah, it's like Well, I mean, that was the complaint people were saying earlier today, about, should you trade Maxey? And everybody's chiming in, being like, if you trade Maxey, he's going to be a superstar on another team. We saw Scott Rowland, he got traded to the Cardinals, and, he has this incredible career. So it's like,
Yep.
what is the value of letting somebody walk? And then you look at the Phillies and you're like, well, you got to get somebody, but who are you going to give up for him?
Right. Yeah, that's the dilemma. That's for sure. Because you're right. There's been a lot of guys who come here, struggle a little bit, or not quite live up to the potential, and then they leave and finally do, and wind up in there. You wind up kicking yourself for letting them go. That's happened too many times, unfortunately.
I mean, the Phillies were very fortunate years ago when they made those trades for Roy Halladay and Cliff Lee, that none of the guys they traded end up being anybody. Like, that almost never happens.
That's true. Yeah, usually a lot of times guys just need a fresh start and just like a new atmosphere, a new culture. Sometimes getting out of Philadelphia kind of helps some guys. Some guys just aren't wired to play here, and they go to some other, like we've talked about in the past, some other smaller market, a little less pressure, and they seem to thrive like that way.
Dave, the story came out recently that Phillies have the #1 greatest growth in attendance from last year to this year compared to any other team in baseball. They're averaging over 10,000 more people per game so far this year. What does it say to you that they've had the biggest jump in attendance from last year to this year?
Well, since they got to the World Series last year.
Sure, but I mean, the fans didn't show up last year until August and September, right?
Right, because they really weren't worth watching until then.
Well, also, I argue, if I can jump in, I argue that people were spending their money on coming to the Shore instead of going to baseball games last summer.
Okay, well, maybe we'll see if that happens again, I guess, right? Memorial Day weekend coming up. We'll see if people are flocking here. I hope they are. But, yeah, it's I'm surprised they're #1. I really am. I'll be interested to see if it if it continues throughout the summer, like you said, with the summer crowds coming down, to Stone Harbor, Cape May, Wildwood, what have you. They're still going to be packing the ballpark too. I mean, that's going to. If they keep struggling the way they are, I'm not so sure that's going to continue. But good credit to them. I mean, so far so good, I guess.
Hey, yeah, right. That is right. Before I let you go, the reports came out that the Eagles have worked out DJ Fluker, the former first-round pick, who actually hasn't even played in the NFL since 2021. Is there anything more Eagles than working out a former first-round pick who hasn't played in 2 years, and now the Eagle fans get excited? Is there anything more Eagle fan than that?
Yeah, they're willing to look at anybody they think can help the team. I think, they'll kick the tires on almost everyone, just in the hopes that they can maybe somehow, Sirianni can recapture that magic that the guy didn't have, or we'll just get him in the locker room with those guys, and they'll show their true potential, and they'll be a starter, and they'll be in the Pro Bowl, and we're gonna go back to the Super Bowl, and that's always the way.
I mean, it's funny because I know that the big criticism about Fluker was his technique, and I'm like, well, let Stoutland deal with him. Like, if the problem is his technique, let Stoutland figure it out.
Yeah, he's the guru, right? He can fix anything. Supposedly, he's like the master of the offensive line. So maybe he can.
I mean, I will say though that it didn't work with Chance Warmack. So I mean,
no,
doesn't
it
happen every
certainly
time.
did not. First time I ever saw an offensive lineman sack his own quarterback.
Yeah, Chance Warmack was definitely a failed experiment, to say the least. But we'll see. I know a lot of Eagle fans, Dave, are worried about the right guard position. I feel like the two things they get asked about with the Eagles all the time is who's the right guard and who's the punter.
Yeah. If that's your worst concern, then I guess you're doing okay, though. I mean, you got to assume, I guess, Juergens gets the first chance with that. If not, then who did they just drafted somebody? Who the heck was it? I'm already blowing my mind.
Well, they drafted Steen from Alabama. He's projected to be a guard more than a tackle. So,
all right. Well, then, plug him in. See, let him go to work then, I guess. Yeah, I mean, there's a long ways away before training camp and that stuff. So I think they have plenty of time to figure it out. Punter wise, I don't know who. I don't know why they keep bringing Sipos back. I think he stinks, but hopefully they'll find somebody.
Yeah, well, they're bringing in Zentmer from Kansas State, and he's he's one of those guys who like kicked field goals and punted the ball kind of thing. So, but to me, it's like, look, if you can't beat Sipos, then you're an idiot. You know, I mean, you can't tell me there's nobody better than Sipos at this point.
Yeah, I mean, you would think even just like some punters who have been cut by other teams or something, there's got to be somebody out there that can be a little more consistent than him. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Dave Weinberg Wednesday here on the Sports Bash, usually on game night here on 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hennig filling for Mike Gill on a Wednesday. Dave, I will let you get back to the fresh air and the great outdoors, and we'll talk soon.
Well, thanks, Josh. I appreciate you having me as always. I'll talk to you next week.
Absolutely. Of course, Dave Weinberg Wednesdays each week on game night on 97.3 ESPN. Check out his extra point columns over at 97.3 ESPN.com. All right. We'll wrap up the hour with some more of your texts on the Sixers, the Phillies, the Eagles, and more here on 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle.
Sports is what we do.
0-2 on the way. Swinging a high fly. This is blasted out to deep right center field. Forget about it. Solo shot from Harper.
This is why we're number one for sports in South Jersey. 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
With GMF financing, qualified buyers excludes Corvette.
At Bennett Chevrolet, we're selling new Chevys at real GM supplier employee prices and not 1 cent more. And you keep all the rebates. Not some. I said you keep all the rebates. Up to $8,000 right now during our Memorial Day super sale. Some dealers think they can imitate Bennett by giving you a discount, but they keep part or all the rebates. Bennett Chevy gives you both the real deal GM supplier employee price plus all the rebates. Up to $8,000 during our Memorial Day super sale. And there's available 1.9% financing. Looking for used? Bennett will pay you a minimum $10,000 for any clunker, junker, or whatever you can drag to our lot towards any pre-owned in stock. That's at least $10,000. We pay a lot more for good trades. And unlike other dealers, our sales team is non-commissioned. They're paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. You've got to come experience the difference. Find new roads at Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
Kickstarting your summer at the Home Depot is all about three things: saving, doing, and mulching. Make the most of our summer savings at the Home Depot now by getting 5 bags of Vigoro Premium Wood Mulch for just $10. Use it to make your garden pop and retain optimal soil moisture. And if you don't know how much you need, make use of the mulch calculator on our app. Summer savings means summer doing and mulching with Vigoro Mulch at 5 for $10 at the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Meet Joe A, Joe B, and Joe C.
What's up?
3 everyday Joes perfecting their banking with Chase. Joe A is locking his lost debit card with the Chase mobile app. Joe B is cruising toward his new ride with AutoSave. And Joe C's Chase banker is helping him budget to go back to school. Tools that help protect. Support for what's next. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase. Make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Messaging and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
Hey guys, it's Mike Gill reminding you to get ready for summer with my friends at Ambient Comfort Heating and Cooling Professionals and their $59 air conditioning system tune-up for new customers. Regular maintenance helps avoid costly repairs, increases the life of your system, saves on energy costs, and keeps your family comfortable. They'll clean and adjust your system so it's safe and running at max efficiency, regardless of who originally installed it. And the first round of R22 refrigerant is included if needed. Ambient Comfort was just at my house. They arrived on time as scheduled, discovered an issue, replaced a part which they had right in the truck, no waiting, and now my air conditioner is ready to go. Glad I didn't wait until a 90-degree day to find out I had a problem. When comfort matters, choose Ambient Comfort and schedule your $59 AC tune-up now. Visit AmbientComfortNJ.com. That's AmbientComfortNJ.com or call 609-568-0955 and tell them Mike Gill sent you.
Dr. Rick here. If you find yourself getting particular about where you get the weather, you may be turning into your parents.
Looks like it might rain. Let's see what Corey from Channel 2 has to say. He's something else. I like him better than Harris from Channel 5.
You could just look up the weather on your phone.
I like Corey from Channel 2.
Progressive can't help you from becoming your parents, but we can help you compare rates on home insurance with Home Quote Explorer. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop, opt out. Go to nomoredraftywindows.com for full offer details.
Attention all homeowners. Do you know when to replace your windows? Feeling too hot or cold? It's time to replace. Fog between the glass. Time to replace. Spending too much on expensive energy that literally goes out the window? It's definitely time to replace. If you've put off replacing windows in your home because it's too expensive, here's great news. You can now get a free in-home window consultation and free price quote from Renewal by Andersen, the company with the most 5-star reviews among leading full-service window replacement companies. And right now, you can save $359 off every window and $887 off every door. Just text PLACE to 200-300 for your free consultation on top-quality affordable windows or patio doors for $0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for a year. That's right, you don't pay a dime for an entire year. Plus, save $359 off every window and $887 off every door. But hurry, these big dollar savings end this month. Text PLACE to 200-300 right now. Text the word PLACE to 200-300. Don't wait, text PLACE to 200-300.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. You're driving along and some nimrod cuts you off. You hit the horn. Jeez, it sounds like a goose in distress. Time to head over to eBay Motors. They have horns for every make and model, not to mention horn pads, steering wheels, wiring, and more. 122 million parts. You can even go for an upgrade. It looks like Mr. Cutoff Man needs a new seat cover. Try eBay Motors, pal. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors. Let's ride.
Next up, straight talk from Doug. Ever notice that saying no offense is offensive? Like, no offense, but you're overpaying for your wireless. See? Offensive.
That's the Straight Talk talking. Get unlimited plans as low as $35 a month from Straight Talk on America's most reliable 5G network. Available at Walmart and Walmart.com. On the $35 plan, first 10 gigabytes data at high speed, then 2G speeds. Refer to the latest terms at straighttalk.com based on most first place rankings, root metrics, second half 2022 assessments of 125 metros. Experiences vary, not an endorsement.
For exceptional savings on your next BMW, visit BMW of Atlantic City. Shop our entire lineup of your favorite new BMW models. Located in Egg Harbor Township and online at bmwatlanticcity.com.
Now, that's sports. South Jersey's sports leader.
All right, wrapping up the show. Josh Hennig hanging out with you here on 97.3 ESPN, filling in for Mike Gill on a Hump Day Wednesday. I will be reaching out to the winners. I haven't drawn the name yet. Who the winners are for the comedian Shane Gillislee's show is coming to Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. We gave away tickets last week with Happy Hour Fire. We got more tickets to give away this week. And for Mike Gill, left to turn to me today, man. Guess what? We got more Shane Gillis tickets. Your job to give them away. We're all counting on you. Okay, I got you. Texting in throughout the show. Let's talk about 9403 0973. By the way, Dan for me, it's piece of the back on board the Phillies. Kevin long theory on hitting. He says eventually the ball will find you. Just keep swinging. The Phillies won. I'm back on board. And speaking of the Phillies, David Violin says, I think the Phillies preseason over 88.5 wins and 87 last year. I think they can pull it off. They can definitely pull it off. I mean, going from 87 to 89 wins is not insurmountable. I don't. Just because this team's not going to win 95 or 100 doesn't mean they can't win 89 or 90. I think that for right now, David Violin, you're fine. I think the Phillies can definitely get there. I would say that you should be more concerned. Like, if the over-under was an 85, then you should probably feel worse about it because what the odds makers are telling you is they're not a playoff. 88.5 wins in today's baseball is a playoff team. It's a wild card. So I would argue that there's a strong possibility that those 89, 90 wins are going to make the playoffs. They'll probably get one of the wild cards. The Braves are going to win. So I think David and Violin, you're okay with that. Now, I think that also I've been saying the whole show, I've been saying it for weeks now. Dombrowski. I don't think it's going to be Syndergaard kind of move. I think he's going to make a little bigger move. I think the team is proving that their starting pitching situation is a little more tenuous than they previously thought. It's kind of like last year when they grossly miscalculated about the defense, and then they went and got Brandon Moss. Now the team is much better defensively, but now the pitching is not as good. But now they got to get the pitching to pick up. Kevin and Kate May chimes in because letting Harden walk only take $8 million hurts them more than Kevin and Kate May, I don't agree with that. I think that you're looking at it wrong. I'm not saying walk away from Harden to save money. I'm saying walk away from Harden because I don't think you win a championship with Harden. Your goal is to get out of the second round of the postseason. And Harden's not your guy. That's what I'm saying. I'm not talking about the money. I'm talking about what's the best team that's going to put you in the best position to win. That's the difference, Kevin and Kate. Do you want to win a championship or you just want to go to the second round every year? If you want to go to the second round every year, Harden is your guy. If you want to get out of the second round and get to the conference finals and beat an inconsistent team like the Celtics that are Jekyll and Hyde from night to night, then you probably should go a different direction. People keep bringing up, Harden played great for 2 games. Because you didn't have him beat for one of them, and the other game, people like Tobias Harris giving you nothing. You have a better roster putting out there, maybe you have a better chance. I keep pointing to the Denver situation. Jokic never got to the NBA Finals until he had Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. and Aaron Gordon and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and Bruce Brown. He has a really good supporting cast. Why can't we look at Embiid the same way? Why can't we treat Embiid saying, hey, Joel, we want you to be great. We want to win a championship. Let's give you a better team than James Harden and Shake Milton and George Niang. That's what I'm saying. And by the way, there's no guarantee that Harden doesn't sign and then you trade to a sign and trade with him. And then you can get whatever you want out of it. I think Harden is trying to maximize his money. I really do. Scott in Pittsgrove chimes in and says the Sixers need to grab Jaylen Brown from the Celtics. Is that possible cap-wise? Oh, man, Scott, that's practically impossible unless the Celtics will take James Harden off your hands. If the Celtics are willing to take Harden and you could do a trade for those guys, a sign and trade for both of them, I mean, maybe you can get away with it. The problem right now is that there's 2 tiers now to this salary cap, and it's very cost prohibitive for manipulating the cap as they used to in the past. Like if you go back to when LeBron went to Miami, LeBron signed a team-friendly deal. Dwayne Wade signed a team-friendly deal, and Bosh signed a team-friendly deal. And they all ended up in Miami through signing trades, and they were able to manipulate the cap that way. Same thing with LeBron when he went to the Cavs after Miami. You can't do that stuff as easily anymore. So I don't know if Jaylen Brown's going to work cap-wise. And I don't know if Boston will ever trade with Philadelphia ever again. Danny Ainge took advantage of an idiot in Brian Colangelo, manipulated him, took advantage of him. They're always going to take Tatum. They just got draft assets and Tatum. So I don't think that'll ever happen again. I'll be back on tomorrow filling for Mike Gill on the Sports Bash. Have a great night, everybody.
Wake up with Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. Weekday mornings at 6 on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
What's your Mount Rushmore of food?
I'll go grapes. I'll go mango.
Ooh, good one.
I love mango.
Whoa, how'd I overlook mango?
I'll go banana. And then I'll go with the classic apple.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. Listen weekday mornings at 6 on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.